The scene of City A appeared suffocating, with buildings stacked like a giant slum under the twilight sky. At Old Tony's barbershop, a news alert warned of the terrors, impending invasion, while the barber danced his scissors over the black-haired customer's head. The barber cut and sarcastically remarked that if the ground were truly safe, the rich wouldn't have built flying cities to hide away in. The customer mumbled in agreement, but the barber only cared about reminding him to keep his head still like a good boy. The black-haired customer's eyes flashed with a cold glint, containing a deadly aura not of ordinary men. Above, the flying city hovered like an impregnable fortress, while the barber prattled on about the government's fake benevolence. The black-haired customer suddenly spoke, interrupting the barber's thoughts, his face still maintaining an unreadable coldness. He calmly declared that all of this would soon end, causing the barber to pause in surprise at his attitude. The barber scoffed, believing that the skills of small fry hunters couldn't possibly fix this broken world. When the barber curiously asked what the terror looked like, the customer grinned sinisterly in the mirror, claiming to be that terrifying monster himself. The barber continued to prattle on about funeral insurance and his wish to meet the terror once in his life, unaware that the Grim Reaper sat right before him. Be careful what you wish for. A sudden blue light swept through, giving the barber a 60% discount on death. His face contorted. The barber's head exploded into a horrific fountain of blood, staining the entire space red while the customer sat still as a stone statue. The surrounding scene immediately changed, transforming the barbershop into a desolate battlefield of ruins with crumbling buildings. A pair of giant bloody scissors appeared, their sharp blades reflecting the death that enveloped the space. The white-haired monster sat perched on the rubble, holding the giant scissors and cackling wildly like a madwoman. She extended her long tongue to lick the blades, revealing her hideous-skinned face and bloodshot, bloodthirsty eyes. The monster bowed, feigning remorse to the headless corpse, treating the killing as merely an accidental cut into the flesh during her work. The customer sat alone before the shattered mirror, while the monster behind her seemed surprised to realize there was still a living customer. Ignoring the threatening monster behind him, the customer erupted in rage and wailed miserably upon seeing his hair had been shaved bald. The female monster sneered contemptuously, raising her bloody scissors, intending to trim off the life of the stubborn young man before her. The death scissors slashed down, splitting the air, but he remained still, watching the Grim Reaper's scythe graze his face with a challenging gaze. He roared, and a violent aura erupted, causing the surrounding space to glitch like a game error. His arm transformed into a grotesque mass of flesh with a living eye, while the system fairy appeared, grumbling like a mother-in-law. He completely transformed into a cool black battlesuit, gripping a glowing red demon sword and issuing an arrogant challenge. Without another word, he swung his sword, unleashing a glowing red cutter that tore through the air at light speed, sweeping away all obstacles. The domineering sword strike sliced cleanly from bottom to top, completely surpassing the reaction speed of the monster with scissors. The female monster froze in place, her face contorted in disbelief that she had been struck. He coldly adjusted his hood to conceal his killer's face, maintaining a cool demeanor after delivering the finishing blow. The monster's body exploded into a rain of blood, ending her short life in utter astonishment for having run into a formidable opponent. Li Fan raised his grotesque hand to his face, beginning to act dramatically with a fake mournful tone, as if remorseful. He revealed his unevenly shaved hair and uttered cheesy lines about intentionally cutting the opponent's flesh, making the atmosphere awkward. The guardian fairy, unable to tolerate his show-off habit, flew over and slapped him to correct his improper attitude. It yelled for its rights, demanding that he call it by its noble title, Lord Cutter, instead of ignoring it. Li Fan nodded, calling it Tong to get it over with, which infuriated the fairy, making it fume and demand a fight to the death with its master. He introduced himself as Li Fan, a D-rank hunter, then calmly admired his uneven haircut in the broken mirror with strange satisfaction. Besides his identity as a government-licensed professional monster hunter, he also implicitly confirmed himself as a transmigrator who possesses a system. At Tong's command, Li Fan plunged his sword into the monster's corpse to begin the looting and power absorption process. A glowing red energy stream was completely sucked from the corpse into the sword, making the fairy moan in delight, opening up the possibility of upgrading powerful weapons. Thanks to the absorbed power, Li Fan's ruined shaved hair immediately grew back lush, restoring his handsome appearance in an instant. Li Fan checked his skill panel, which was fully maxed, and sighed in boredom because there was nothing left to upgrade. He stood before the ruins, looking up at the giant spaceship, disdaining the world domination dreams of other transmigrators. His face bore the marks of weariness and age after 5 long years of survival in this damned world. Li Fan looked at the family photo, wishing only to complete the mission quickly and return to his peaceful old world. Painful memories flooded back like cracks on glass, replaying the scene of his sister Yike being taken away right before his eyes. He roared in his mind with a frantic expression, swearing an oath to find Yike again, even if he had to turn the whole world upside down. Tong suddenly appeared, interrupting his sentimental thoughts, calling out sharply to pull him back to reality. The fairy teased him about completely draining the monster's energy, making Li Fan dumbfoundedly reply with a flat sound. He yanked his sword out of the corpse, coldly asking how many more monsters he had to slaughter before he could go home. Tong displayed a green notification panel. 9,995 monsters eliminated. Only 5 more to complete the main quest. Li Fan smirked with satisfaction, thinking that he was only 5 lives away from being done with this life's debt. He looked at the hideous monsters flooding the city as if seeing a business-class ticket to leave this damned world. An emergency broadcast announced the disaster striking City A, while the barber's corpse still lay sprawled there. A stone tombstone was hastily erected with a scrawled inscription for the unfortunate barber named Tony. Li Fan clasped his hands and bowed perfunctorily, then called out to hit the road, leaving Tong dumbfounded by his master's sudden change of attitude. He strode decisively through the rubble with the sole goal of going home, leaving the ferry flying behind him. The entire city was engulfed in smoke, fire, and desolation as the monsters began a large-scale massacre. Crowds of civilians fled in panic as the giant monster known as the Terror began snatching people like ants. The giant octopus monster opened its blood-red eye on its head, contemptuously calling humans bugs, and beginning to accumulate destructive energy. Deadly laser beams shot out, piercing the chests of those who were slow, turning the escape into a bloody battlefield. Amidst the ruins, the Terror's laser beams continued to sweep away civilians, while a young man and an older man hid in despair. The young man clutched his head and cried miserably, yelling that it was truly over this time. He pointed to the corpses of 2 city guardians, Shadowless Kick Huang Fei Lu and Catman Tom, asserting that if even the formidable ones were gone, only death awaited them all. But the older man remained calm, asserting that hope still remained. He reminded them that City A still had its trump card, 3 cutter hunters, and the last one was a legend, the strongest rookie. Just then, an octopus woman descended from above, ready to join the massacre. The octopus woman unleashed a sweeping attack on the fleeing crowd, creating a terrifying explosion. Suddenly, a blonde figure flashed amidst crashing lightning, confidently declaring that this hero had arrived not a moment too late. It was Lightning Wang Lei. Wang Lei scanned the battlefield, coldly counting the number of monsters to deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He smirked arrogantly, declaring that today was the day his hunter ranking would be promoted. Wang Lei faced the octopus woman, who scornfully called him an arrogant insect. The monster roared for his life and charged forward, stomping down with a heaven-shattering blow to crush him. But the stomp only hit air. She was bewildered to see Wang Lei had vanished right before her eyes. From above, Wang Lei mocked the monster's snail-like speed, as a brilliant golden streak shot down like a meteor. Enveloped in lightning, Wang Lei channeled his energy, unleashing the powerful lightning flash skill. A giant lightning slash tore through space, shooting straight towards the target with inescapable speed. The octopus woman couldn't react in time, taking the full lightning strike to her body in astonishment. The attack created a terrifying explosion. Dust and debris obscured an entire street corner, showcasing its tremendous destructive power. Witnessing the heroic display, the crowd of civilians erupted in joy, shouting enthusiastic cheers. The optimistic civilian explained to the frightened young man, showing off his hunter's handbook and Wang Lei's card, the government's rising star. Amidst the devastation, the fanboy casually hawked the hunter's handbook at an exorbitant price, to which the young man scornfully retorted, "Still doing business at a time like this." While they were bickering, a thwip sound, and a bloody tentacle shot out like a rocket, aimed straight at the 2 small fries. Before the young man could understand what was happening, he was impaled, as a hideous tentacle beast roared, "Die, human!" while others screamed and fled in panic. A white-bandaged monster woman with deformed limbs flipped open the hunter's handbook and uttered scornfully, "Hunter's handbook? A mental masturbation game for the lowly?" The bandaged woman and another octopus man stood amidst the corpses, scornfully watching Wang Lei approaching and cursing him directly as a worm. "Big mistake," Wang Lei growled. Lightning began to surge around him, his eyes sparking with fire. "How dare you do that in front of me?" The voltage surged. Lightning crackled under Wang Lei's feet, causing the ground to crack as he slowly ascended into the air. His entire body erupted in thunder and lightning. Wang Lei roared, "Unforgivable," and gathered a destructive lightning orb in his palm. Without another word, Wang Lei charged straight towards the 2 monsters with the speed of a lightning bolt, the lightning orb ready to explode. Boom! The lightning punch collided, creating a terrifying energy explosion, engulfing the monsters in destructive light. Wang Lei was stunned, unable to believe his thunderclap skill had no effect on the monster. A hideous three-eyed flesh beast emerged from the smoke, gathering a sickly green energy orb in its mouth, preparing to retaliate. With a roar, the flesh monster fired a destructive energy beam straight towards Wang Lei. Humph. Wang Lei braced himself. Lightning erupted around him, forming a lightning flash shield. Despite his defense, the force of the attack was still too immense, sending Wang Lei skidding across the city's rubble. A swarm of multicolored tentacle beasts, led by the bandaged woman, charged forward simultaneously to gang up on him. Surrounded by dozens of tentacles, Wang Lei parried while snapping. Damn it, are all of you playing the tentacle game? Are you all one big family or something? He used his bare hands to block the bandaged woman's attack, while the other monsters still lurked behind. Wang Lei smirked maniacally. A bold idea struck him. With so many, he'll just take out the weakest one first. I'm so damn smart. With that said, he unleashed all his lightning energy, roaring, lightning storm. A massive electrical surge exploded, sweeping away everything around him. Wang Lei's lightning storm skill exploded loudly, but the result was like a mere tickle. The entire swarm of tentacle beasts stood still, completely unharmed. Not bothering to hesitate, Wang Lei roared, "I'll deal with you first," then charged straight at the one that looked like the boss. His target was the bandaged woman, who immediately raised her deformed arms in a defensive stance, ready to fight. Immediately, the bandages on the bandaged woman's body unfurled like venomous snakes, emitting deadly purple energy. The speed was incredible. Wang Lei couldn't react in time, and was tightly bound by the bandages like a mummy, his entire body paralyzed. Bound but still boasting loudly, Wang Lei gritted his teeth. "You think these rags can bind me?" He channeled all his lightning, intending to shatter the bandages, but his face instantly changed color as he realized. My lightning is being absorbed? The golden lightning was completely drained by the purple bandages. Wang Lei was utterly shocked. This monster has this kind of ability? Hung upside down in midair, Wang Lei wailed miserably as all his lightning energy was mercilessly drained. The situation was even worse. He was utterly terrified when he felt even the life energy in his body was being drained. Even the power in my body is being drained. With his energy drained by the bandaged woman, Wang Lei helplessly watched the monsters lurking around him. He gritted his teeth bitterly, realizing his heroic career might end just as it began. The civilians in the distance were also utterly despairing, crying out that even Wang Lei was no match for the monsters and they couldn't be protected. While a sinister observer smiled gleefully, Li Fan and the guide fairy rode up on a motorcycle. He was satisfied that his prey hadn't been taken by anyone yet. The guide fairy drooled upon seeing a swarm of high-level monsters, excitedly declared, "With so many monsters, I think they'll be delicious." Seeing Li Fan was just a mere delivery guy, Wang Lei roared in despair. "You idiot! Get out of here now." A golden hair beast with hair transformed into giant arms shot towards Li Fan with terrifying speed. Wang Lei shouted a warning as the monster was about to pounce. "It's going to kill you," Li Fan calmly replied. "Don't worry about that." While his arm, reflected in the rearview mirror, was transforming into a grotesque mass of red flesh. Thwack! Li Fan's bioarm seized the golden hair beast's giant eye, effortlessly stopping its attack. Li Fan casually activated his muscle enhancement skill. His biohand swelled, crushing the golden hair beast's eye like a tomato, and calmly remarked, "Actually, I'm a little strong." Hanging limply like a puppet, Wang Lei, the strongest new star, his face drained of all color, witnessed a boss monster being defeated as easily as pie. The blonde man completely collapsed. Only one question remained in his mind. How is this guy so damn strong? An S-rank hunter? I've never heard of this name before. The bandaged woman, who had just thrashed Wang Lei, now cautiously faced Li Fan and directly asked, "Who are you?" Li Fan coldly replied, his deformed hand growing several grotesque eyes. "Terror hunter." Li Fan. The bandaged woman muttered the name Li Fan, trying to search her notebook, but found absolutely no information about this person. Li Fan casually raised his hand and made a blunt statement that left his opponent speechless. "Oh, it's probably because I'm just a D-rank night watchman." Upon hearing this, Wang Lei was furious, roaring in helplessness. Since when was a D-rank hunter this strong? The bandaged woman admitted she was intimidated and immediately ordered the dark octopus beast beside her. "You've scared me. Deal with him." Without further ado, Li Fan transformed his two bioarms into a pair of giant flesh blades, ready to tear apart anything in his way. Li Fan turned to ask Tong, who was floating beside him. "Tong, are you ready?" The assistant girl calmly replied. "What do you think?" Without further ado, Li Fan activated his cutter skill. His two bio-arms merged into a pair of giant, razor-sharp flesh blades. Whoosh! Li Fan glided forward like a ghost, his scissor blades instantly shredding the tentacles of the dark octopus beast. Immediately after clearing out the small fry, a true boss appeared, a colossal giant maw beast, its three eyes staring intently at Li Fan. The giant maw beast opened its wide maw, gathering a destructive energy orb, while Li Fan calmly summoned a sturdy stone wall from the ground. Boom! The energy beam shot straight into the wall, creating a terrifying explosion, sending debris flying everywhere. But when the smoke and dust cleared, Li Fan still stood tall behind the shattered shield, completely unharmed, his eyes filled with defiance. The giant maw beast froze, its maw agape in disbelief that its ultimate attack had been so useless. Seizing the opportunity, Li Fan channeled power into his legs, leaping into the air, raising his scissor blades high, ready for a sky-shattering strike. The monster shrieked piercingly as Li Fan slashed straight into its head, the system panel coldly displaying the number 9,997. After dealing with the previous boss, Li Fan coldly faced two new enemies, the bandaged woman and a grotesque, muscular henchman. The bandaged woman roared, ordering her subordinate, "You guys get ready too." Giving his opponent no time to breathe, Li Fan shot forward like an arrow, the bioblade on his right arm aimed directly at the blue brute beast. Clang! A piercing sound rang out as the blade struck, leaving only a scratch on the monster's tough hide. Li Fan froze. It was the first time his attack had been so easily blocked by an enemy. Standing behind the meat shield, the bandaged woman sneered with delight. "Kekeke, it seems your broken blade can't pierce its defense." Provoked, Li Fan growled at his weapon. "It says you're useless. Then I won't transform into a blade anymore." His arm began to swell, deforming grotesquely. Li Fan's entire arm transformed into a colossal fleshy mace with an eye in the center. He leaped into the air, preparing to deliver a sky-shattering blow. Crash! The terrifying impact crushed the blue brute beast, the shockwave so powerful that the bandaged woman standing right behind it was also swept away. Only a cloud of white dust remained. The tough defensive monster had completely evaporated after a single blow. Li Fan brushed off his blood-stained clothes, grumbling, "It's all dirty again, how disgusting." While Guide Fairy Tong hovered, complaining that he was the one who had used all his strength, then muttering the kill count, 9,998, Jiu. Bound tightly and helplessly witnessing the scene, Wang Lai stammered in utter shock. How? How can this be?" The strongest new star roared, his worldview completely shattered. "A hunter only has one ability, right? How can you use so many different skills?" Li Fan casually scratched his cheek with his grotesque hand, his expression bored as if listening to a foolish question. "Well, that," he smirked, revealing the brutal truth. "Because all the monsters I kill have their abilities devoured." While Tong was ecstatic, absorbing the monster's soul and cheering, "Ha ha ha ha, delicious." Wang Lei lay sprawled on the ground, utterly speechless at this blatant, game-breaking logic, unable to believe such an ability existed. Li Fan's biohand, with its gruesome eyes, was the very tool he used to devour and assimilate the power of his enemies. Li Fan turned to face the bandaged woman, the last remaining enemy, his arm transforming into a sharp blade as he coldly declared, "Only you are left." Seeing Li Fan about to charge, Wang Lei hastily called out, "Wait," causing Li Fan to turn back with a puzzled expression. Wang Lei desperately tried to warn him, "Be careful, that one is completely different from the others. It has already absorbed all of my lightning power." Li Fan admitted that absorbing others' power was similar to the boss, but the Guide Fairy quickly corrected him, stating that the system's high-grade power was completely different from that messy power. He cut her off, his gaze thoughtful as he looked towards the bandaged woman, muttering that there was something strangely familiar about this monster. But then he smirked, brushing aside all doubts. "Whatever power it has, I don't care." His sole objective was right before his eyes, and he declared firmly, "As long as I kill it, I can return to my world." Without a moment's hesitation, Li Fan charged straight forward, every step exuding overwhelming killing intent. Pushing off the ground, Li Fan shot into the air like a bullet, roaring, "Die!" Whoosh! The bandaged woman was no pushover. She immediately unleashed countless dagger-sharp ribbons in retaliation. Hundreds of ribbons surged forward, forming a deadly storm that enveloped Li Fan, causing the Guide Fairy to cry out a warning. Slash! But Li Fan's skill was not to be trifled with. His bioblade danced, shredding the incoming ribbons with terrifying speed. He landed lightly amidst a shower of torn fabric, his sharp eyes calculating, "As long as I don't get caught by those ribbons, It'll be fine. The bandaged woman tensed, familiar purple lightning crackling on her mutated fingers. Whoosh! A purple lightning bolt sliced through the air, narrowly grazing Li Fan's face, surprising even him. Li Fan clicked his tongue, his expression clearly annoyed by the sneak attack. The guide fairy quickly cried out, "You almost died." But Li Fan merely admitted coldly, "It was just my carelessness." From behind, Wang Lei, his face pale, shouted a warning. "That monster doesn't just absorb power, it can use it again too." Li Fan smirked, his eyes sharp. "Looks like I need to speed things up." Immediately, Li Fan's legs transformed, his crimson muscles erupting into biojet engines. Whoosh! Li Fan vanished from his spot, rocketing away like a bullet at incredible speed, his blade ready to tear through anything. Seeing the real deal in action, the bandaged woman immediately recoiled into a defensive cocoon, sprouting 6 more arms that crackled with lightning. Crash! Li Fan's bioweapon collided head-on with an extremely powerful energy attack, creating a terrifying explosion. Li Fan plunged straight into his opponent's lightning storm like a missile, a blue energy shield enveloping his body, tearing up the ground. With his jet engines roaring, Li Fan soared through the rubble, aiming directly at the defensively coiled bandaged woman. He tensed all his muscles, channeling power into his bioweapon arm, preparing to unleash a wind-ripping finishing slash. Li Fan's crimson blade was mere centimeters from the bandaged woman's face, seemingly sealing her fate. But Li Fan suddenly froze, his eyes wide with astonishment. His quick victory plan had just gone awry. The bandaged woman had blocked Li Fan's sharp blade with her bare hands, an unbelievable counter. Li Fan stood stunned atop the boss, completely bewildered by what had just happened. Since when? Not only did she block the attack, but the bandaged woman also swiftly grabbed Li Fan's 2 jet-powered legs. The energy from Li Fan's engines was brazenly siphoned away, the blue power stream completely absorbed by the bandaged hand. The guide fairy cried out in panic. The jet skill is being absorbed. But Li Fan only gritted his teeth and replied coldly, "I know." Li Fan was stunned to realize his jet energy was being completely drained by the bandaged woman. Her hand mutated, 2 energy muzzles sprouting from her palm, ready to unleash the very skill she had just stolen. Without a moment's hesitation, she fired back a maximum purple energy blast, using his own trick against him. Li Fan cursed, hastily summoning a defensive stone wall to block the deadly counterattack. The defensive wall cracked upon impact. Li Fan had to strain with both hands to hold it, but it seemed futile. The guide fairy shrieked a warning that the defensive skill was also being drained, urging Li Fan to run immediately. But Li Fan gritted his teeth and endured, refusing to retreat a single step despite being completely drained of strength. Every muscle fiber in his arms tensed, trying to push back against the terrifying pressure from his opponent's attack. Crash! The defensive wall shattered, and Li Fan was blown away by the impact force like a puppet. Li Fan landed, his face taut with tension, while the gloomy guide fairy concluded, "It's stronger than expected. Your path home won't be easy." Wang Lei knelt, helplessly warning Li Fan that this monster was too strong, and they'd only stand a chance if an S-rank hunter was called. But Li Fan only replied coldly, growling that this was his ticket home, and he wouldn't yield it to anyone. He looked up at the bandaged woman hovering over the rubble, a dark aura enveloping the entire area. The monster clutched a giant gear-shaped metal mass, its bandaged fingers exuding a deadly aura. Li Fan smirked confidently, turning to the guide fairy. "I think I know how to deal with it." As he slowly advanced, he analyzed. This boss, though capable of absorbing others' abilities, was too immature in intellect. Li Fan clenched his bandaged fist, preparing for a true battle to the death. He pinpointed the opponent's fatal weakness. It couldn't store absorbed power, forced to release it immediately. Seeing Li Fan about to charge in, Wang Lei frantically yelled from behind, "Be careful!" Ignoring the warning, Li Fan burst with speed, charging straight towards the bandaged woman with a lightning-fast attack. Li Fan smirked, declaring he would exploit the boss's weakness to finish it off, his hand gathering green plant energy. Whoosh! A series of thorny green vines erupted from the ground, ready to bind the target tightly. The vines tightly wrapped around the bandaged woman, immobilizing her while purple energy still leaked out. Roar! The bandaged woman exploded with power, a series of dark purple tentacles shattering the binding vines. Just then, Li Fan coldly signaled. This was the moment he had been waiting for. He drew a brand new biosword, its hilt a grotesque red fleshy hand with an eye, and the blade began to ignite. The flames flared fiercely, engulfing the entire sword, ready to incinerate everything. The biojet engines on Li Fan's heels activated, shooting out a stream of blue energy. With a whoosh, Li Fan plunged from the sky like a fiery meteor, aiming straight for the vulnerable bandaged woman. Thwack! The blazing sword plunged into the boss's body. The terrifying heat began to incinerate it from within. Li Fan swung his flaming sword, delivering a finishing blow, tearing through the bandaged woman with a clean, swift slash. He coldly watched his prey perish, as the system panel displayed the added kill count. But the number jumped to 9,999.5. Li Fan yelled in exasperation. "Are you kidding me? What the hell is 9,999.5? The guide fairy was also at a loss, stammering, unsure why. Li Fan turned back to look at the burning ashes. A bad premonition washing over him. His face froze. His hair seemed to glow reddish-brown as he realized something was terribly wrong. From within the flames, the boss's charred corpse began to crack. The monster's shell disintegrated, revealing a pale human form within. Li Fan's eyes widened, his pupils constricting in utter horror as he witnessed the unbelievable sight. Inside that decaying corpse was Yike, his sister, now with horns and pointed ears. Rage and pain erupted. Li Fan roared, "Cutter," releasing a surge of icy energy, creating countless ice blades around him. Li Fan unleashed his freezing skill, a massive wave of chilling air extinguishing the flames consuming the boss's remnants. Sharp ice enveloped the charred corpse, completely extinguishing the flames in an instant. The cold mist gradually dissipated, revealing Yike's face, now with horns, her eyes closed, unconscious amidst the white mist. Li Fan hastily draped his jacket over his sister. His left hand transformed into a grotesque, glowing red bioweapon. Holding Yike in his arms, Li Fan yelled in utter confusion. "Why is my sister here?" The guide fairy appeared, her face contorted in helpless frustration. "How should I know?" Looking at the horned girl, the guide fairy asked directly, suspiciously. "Are you sure this is your sister?" She continued, dropping an even more shocking truth. She was born from the womb of a terror monster. Memories of his normal sister flooded back. Li Fan growled in desperate denial. "This isn't Yike. There's no way Yike would become a monster." Li Fan's eyes were bloodshot, filled with rage, and a fierce refusal to accept the cruel truth before him. Li Fan growled, stubbornly believing that the scene before him was merely an illusion created by the terror monster. Standing on the icy boss corpse, he whispered a bitter apology for the 10,000 lives he had taken to return home. Just as Li Fan's biosword was still close, Yike, his sister, whom he thought was dead, began to show signs of waking. Yike's eyes slowly opened, revealing mesmerizing purple pupils, completely different from Li Fan's memories. Li Fan was stunned, unable to believe his eyes, and blurted out in panic, "Why are you waking up right now?" Yike looked up at Li Fan, her deep purple eyes reflecting his image, shining with bewilderment and confusion. The girl's purple pupils widened, seemingly trying to recognize the brother before her. Li Fan froze, completely at a loss as to how to handle this ironic situation. Suddenly, Yike sprang up and hugged Li Fan tightly, muttering one word, "Hug," which made him freeze completely. Held tightly, Li Fan gritted his teeth, his weapon hand hovering right next to Yike's head in an extremely awkward predicament. Li Fan's weapon hand still hovered right next to Yike's head. A precarious situation. Li Fan growled, full of suspicion. "Don't come any closer. Don't think you can trick me." Pushed away, Yike looked up with hurt eyes. Li Fan's blade still pressed against her stomach. Suddenly, Yike lunged forward herself, letting the sharp blade plunge straight into her stomach. Li Fan froze, his pupils constricting, unable to believe the girl's insane action before him. Blood gushed from the wound in the corner of her mouth, but Yike used her own hand to grip the blade tightly, her eyes devoid of any fear. After ensuring the blade was deep enough, she slowly released her hand. Despite the fatal wound, she reached out and touched Li Fan's cheek, whispering one word, "Brother." Li Fan's entire body stiffened, his eyes filled with extreme shock as her cold hand touched his face. A serene yet sorrowful smile appeared on Yike's face, as if she had completed her final mission. Li Fan was utterly shocked as Yike lunged into his weapon. He yelled in despair, "Are you crazy? You'll die." The guide fairy appeared, coldly stating that Yike would be better off dead so Li Fan could still go home, because she was just a terror monster. Amidst the silent scene, Li Fan tightly embraced the dying Yike. His hand still plunged into her stomach, his eyes terrifyingly cold. The eye on Li Fan's monstrous arm widened, staring intently at the fatal wound it had just inflicted. Yike weakly called out, "Big brother," making Li Fan freeze. His face contorted in pain. His rage exploded. Li Fan gritted his teeth and roared, "Cutter," determined not to let his sister perish. Green healing light erupted from his monstrous hand, the rapid recovery skill activating directly on the wound. The fatal stab wound began to close at an alarming rate, green energy mending every fiber of flesh. The guide fairy was dumbfounded, not understanding why Li Fan refused the chance to return, but he coldly declared he would hunt other terrors to complete the mission. Yikes, weak hand clutched Li Fan's shirt, as if there was still something more important she hadn't said. Holding Yike in his arms, Li Fan's mind raced. This girl is exactly like my sister. Maybe if I keep her, I can get more information. Meanwhile, the guide fairy beside him was speechless. Just as he was about to leave, a voice called out, making Li Fan turn his head with an emotionless expression. The blond young man, covered in injuries, spoke with extreme excitement, stammering, "My name is Wang Lei, a newly promoted C-rank hunter. Your battle was absolutely overwhelming." Wang Lei's eyes burned with fire. He had already made up his mind. Without a moment's hesitation, Wang Lei bowed low to the ground, shouting, "Please accept me as your disciple." Li Fan bluntly rejected him with a single word, "No," then curtly explained that he was about to leave this world, so he shouldn't bother, leaving Wang Lei stunned. Seeing Wang Lei still quietly following, Li Fan irritably turned back and snapped, "I said no. Why are you still following me?" The other man calmly replied, "Oh, I'm going this way too." It turned out he wasn't lying. Both stopped in front of a dilapidated apartment complex. Standing in front of the apartment door, Wang Lei grinned, pointing to the opposite door. "See, master? I wasn't lying. We're neighbors." Li Fan's face was cold as ice, and he warned in a low voice, "Don't call me master." Li Fan, his hands covered in blood, opened the door and entered his apartment. Just as he was about to close the door, a foot swiftly blocked it, determined not to let it shut. It was Wang Lei, brazenly sticking his head in and shouting, "Master, let me in. I just want to learn to become stronger." Bang! The door to room 602 slammed shut in Wang Lei's face, accompanied by a blunt curse from inside. "Get lost." Inside, Li Fan ignored the annoying man, his hands still stained with blood as he carried Yaike. He gently placed his sister on the sofa, while Wang Lei still didn't give up, banging on the door and shouting outside, "Master, please reconsider." The virtual assistant appeared, grumbling, "That kid is quite sincere. Aren't you being too heartless?" But Li Fan brushed it off. "I don't want to get involved with people from this world." He turned to look at the unconscious Yike, his mind focused on one thing. "Compared to that, I want to know the origin of the terror more." He walked away, leaving bloody footprints on the pristine white floor. Feeling sticky all over, Li Fan coldly declared he was going to take a bath, ignoring everything else. The virtual assistant hovered beside Li Fan, delivering a critical jab. "What if she wakes up while you're bathing?" Li Fan pondered, clearly calculating a contingency plan for this absurd scenario. No sooner said than done, he raised his hand, and crimson energy flared as he activated the binding skill, grotesque fleshy tentacles emerging from thin air. The tentacles wrapped tightly around Yike on the sofa, transforming her into an absolutely safe cocoon. Li Fan muttered, "This should be fine." But at that very moment, Yike suddenly opened her eyes wide, her violet gaze filled with surprise and panic as she found herself tightly bound. Ignoring his now awake sister, Li Fan still prioritized taking a bath. His battle-stained feet stepping straight into the bathroom. He shed his battle gear, stepping into the bathtub filling with water, ready to wash away all the fatigue and blood. Submerging himself in the hot water, Li Fan let out a sigh of pure satisfaction. Truly, nothing beat a bath after a life-or-death battle. While he was enjoying himself, the virtual assistant unexpectedly popped up in the bathtub, prompting Li Fan to ask directly, "If I return to my world, what will happen to you?" The system pet calmly replied with an even blunter answer, "What else? I'll just go find a new host." Li Fan directly questioned the system's purpose and the benefits it gained from parasitizing him. The virtual assistant calmly replied with a rhetorical question, "Would you believe me if I said it's because I'm bored?" Leaving Li Fan speechless. While soaking, Li Fan was startled as a tall, familiar silhouette suddenly appeared behind the frosted glass door of the bathroom. Crash! The door shattered. Yike burst straight in with a panicked expression, completely shocking Li Fan. The virtual assistant calmly said, "At a time like this, you're still worried about the door?" Li Fan suddenly realized, remembering the core issue. Wait, wasn't she tied up? It turned out Yike had torn through Li Fan's fleshy binding cocoon herself to escape. Li Fan could only force a wry smile, muttering, "How is it that just by looking at her face, I know exactly what she just did?" Yike said nothing, her hair flying, as she slowly advanced towards the bathtub with an overwhelming aura. Li Fan looked up at the ceiling and sighed. "Damn it, you really can't trust a terror." Yike's face was cold as ice. As she slowly advanced towards Li Fan in the bathroom, the atmosphere as tense as a drawn bowstring. The girl said nothing, swinging her arm as if preparing to charge into a fight to the death. Who would have thought Yike would jump into the bathtub, hugging Li Fan tightly, and leaving him frozen with a huge question. Huh? The virtual assistant surfaced from the water, making a blunt remark. Is she using a honey trap? While Li Fan suspected she had imprinting syndrome, the virtual assistant began a biology lesson. Newly hatched chicks will consider the first creature they see as their mother and cling to it. In short, congratulations on becoming a father, the virtual assistant concluded, leaving Li Fan with a blank expression, completely bewildered. Annoyed, Li Fan pushed Yike away, snapping, "Don't get our identities confused, you're a terror." Yike immediately switched to innocent mode, looking up at her big brother with wide, sparkling eyes. The Mo attack was too deadly. Li Fan, the ruthless boss slayer, was now blushing furiously, completely defeated. Regaining his last bit of composure, Li Fan raised his hand, preparing to flick his annoying sister's forehead to teach her a lesson. Losing patience with her clinginess, Li Fan directly pushed Yike's head underwater, beginning a new kind of lesson. Submerged unexpectedly, Yike's eyes widened in panic, bubbles rising from her mouth. The virtual assistant bobbed in the bathtub, teasing, "Why haven't you kicked her out yet?" But Li Fan growled in response, "It's better to leave her like this." After the river bath, Yike again displayed a bewildered, innocent expression, still blowing bubbles. Li Fan looked directly at the girl, deciding to get to the main point. "By the way, what's your name?" Yike poked her head out of the water, hesitantly replying, "Name." The girl suddenly broke into a radiant smile, confidently declaring, Elisa." Li Fan began to grumble about soaking for too long. "How much longer are you two going to stay here? The water's gotten cold," while Yike still wanted to linger a bit longer. Were. The scene in the bathroom ended. Now Li Fan was blow-drying Yike's hair. As he blow-dried her hair, Li Fan cut straight to the chase. "Alright, it's time you told me why you look exactly like my sister. Is Elisa my sister?" After the interrogation, the hairdryer lay abandoned on the bed, signaling a temporary halt to the conversation. The guide fairy hovered, openly criticizing. "This girl doesn't seem very smart," then mocked Li Fan, saying his plan to extract information was ruined. Li Fan didn't bother to reply, silently walking towards the wardrobe. He pulled out a set of his own clothes and tossed them to Yike, who was sitting on the bed, curtly ordering, "Put these on." Hastily putting on a t-shirt, Li Fan turned his face away, gesturing like a gentleman. "I'll let you change first." Even though Yike remained bewildered, not understanding anything, Yike obediently stepped barefoot onto the wooden floor to change clothes. Done. Yike stood before Li Fan in an oversized men's shirt, confidently declaring she had finished changing. Li Fan froze for a few seconds, his face slightly flushed at the girl's appearance. Regaining his cold demeanor, he placed a hand on Yike's shoulder, promising in a paternalistic tone, "Tomorrow, I'll buy you some clothes." Just then, Yike's stomach rumbled loudly, breaking the atmosphere. Li Fan stated bluntly to Yike, who was pouting with her arms crossed, "It's time to eat." Without another word, he opened the fully stocked refrigerator, preparing to get to work. Knife and cutting board in hand, Li Fan expertly handled the ingredients, looking no different from a professional chef. A fragrant aroma wafted up as he skillfully stirred the pan, truly looking like a family man. A lavish meal was served, and Yike was already seated at the table, ready to battle her hunger. Yike looked at the bowl of rice with wary eyes, poking at it with her chopsticks as if checking for poison. Seeing her demeanor, Li Fan unconsciously smiled, thinking to himself that this girl was indeed his Yike, but immediately, his smile froze, his face darkening like the bottom of a pot. It turned out Yike wasn't eating the rice. She was opening her mouth to bite the ceramic plate itself, leaving Li Fan utterly speechless. Li Fan quickly snatched the bowl back, snapping, "Do you lack basic knowledge?" While Yike replied blankly. But, after clearing the entire dining table, Yike poker-faced pointed at the empty pot and declared, "I still haven't eaten enough." Li Fan opened the refrigerator, and the only thing that greeted him was an empty void. His face twisted. He couldn't believe all his stored ingredients were completely gone. Standing before the empty refrigerator, Li Fan tore at his hair, frustrated that it was too late to go shopping. Meanwhile, in another apartment, Wang Lei was straining to lift weights, drenched in sweat. After his workout, Wang Lei carried the weights on his shoulder, striding boldly towards the door with a clear objective. Click! He used his fingerprint to unlock the door, preparing for a surprise visit. As soon as he saw Li Fan, Wang Lei joyfully asked, "Master, have you finally agreed to accept me as your disciple?" While Yike clung tightly to her brother. Li Fan bluntly refused, then directly asked Wang Lei if he had any food. Because this girl has a terrifying appetite. Wang Lei generously poured out a pile of snacks onto the table, and said, "I still have some food, master. Please enjoy it with mother," causing Li Fan to yell, veins popping, "She's not my mother." Yike sat amidst a mountain of empty snack wrappers that had just been cleared, her face blank as if that had only been an appetizer. Still not full, the girl suddenly stood up on the sofa, her face filled with murderous intent, as if ready to eat the table itself. Li Fan and Wang Lei exchanged knowing smiles. It seemed the two men had found common ground in the face of this disaster. The sight of Yike biting into a chip bag made the two men freeze. Wang Lei yelled. She swallowed everything in one bite, while Li Fan cried out in helplessness. Don't eat the bag. Li Fan grabbed Yike's head, grumbling. You glutton, why are you exactly like Tong? Causing the guide fairy to retort defensively. This system is much cuter than her. Li Fan's stomach rumbled, and he suddenly realized, I was so busy cooking for this girl that I haven't eaten anything myself. Wang Lei immediately seized the opportunity, eagerly offering a tip. If you want to eat, I know an incredibly delicious place. The group was led to an old brick building, looking like a secret entertainment spot at night, with two bodyguards patrolling. Wang Lei waved to a familiar bodyguard. Big brother Liu, are you on guard again? While Li Fan had to hold Yike tightly as she curiously looked around. The bodyguard named Liu took a drag from his cigarette, smugly saying, This place is very noisy. Without a big shot like me, how could the chaos be quelled? Guard Liu placed his hand on the heavy iron door, preparing to open the way in. Liu opened the door, gesturing for Li Fan, Yike, and Wang Lei's group to enter the secret area. Li Fan looked suspicious, thinking this dingy place didn't look like somewhere that sold food. But Wang Lei just smirked, telling him not to judge a book by its cover. As soon as he finished speaking, an automatic door swung open with dazzling purple light, and Wang Lei spread his arms with a mysterious gesture. Both Li Fan and Yike froze at the sight before their eyes, completely surprised. Wang Lei grandly declared this to be the underground paradise of City A, where a DJ was setting the dance floor on fire with a passionate crowd. Amidst the enthusiastic partygoers, Wang Lei revealed that the owner of this bar was a reputable and registered cutter hunter. Sitting at the bar, Li Fan wondered why such a big shot didn't act when the city was attacked. Wang Lei explained that hunters only acted on a whim, and not everyone had missions like them. Li Fan nodded, admitting that the internal affairs of the cutter hunter world were indeed complex and full of drama. While chatting idly, Wang Lei was startled to realize Elisa had disappeared, causing both of them to look around frantically. Amidst the partying crowd, Li Fan scanned the area, while a muscular thug slowly approached Elisa. The muscular thug, with a perverted smile, leaned close to Elisa's face, enticing. Little sister, let big brother buy you a drink, okay? Seeing Elisa hesitate, the muscular thug lost patience, grabbing her hand tightly and pulling her away. Why are you still hesitating? Come here now. He continued to drag Elisa, sneering. Didn't you dress like this, to seduce men, little sister? At the same time, Li Fan slammed his hand down on the bar, his face filled with murderous intent as he cursed. Painful memories of his sister flooded back. Li Fan gritted his teeth, his rage flaring. This scene is so familiar it's sickening. Being dragged, Elisa suddenly lowered her head, her voice as cold as ice. You. Elisa's small hand clenched, crushing the muscular thug's giant hand with the sound of bones cracking. The muscular thug was thrown backward, screaming miserably as his hand was pulverized, blood gushing out. Witnessing the scene, Wang Lei's jaw dropped in astonishment, and he turned to Li Fan, exclaiming, She's the real deal. Li Fan smirked confidently, while the guide fairy hovered nearby, mocking, You seem to have forgotten. She's a real monster. Li Fan simply replied, But she's too small. A sinewy hand slammed down on the table, showing anger that an accomplice had just been defeated. The bald gang leader roared, Who the hell dares to touch a member of my bald gang? Don't you want to live in this city anymore? Li Fan turned around, poker-faced. Bald gang? Li Fan looked at the gang members one by one, then asked innocently, But you all have hair. One of them strained his neck to argue. What the hell do you know? The stronger the bald gang, the balder they are. Li Fan glanced at them with a scornful gaze, stating bluntly, So that means you're all a bunch of good-for-nothings? The bald gang leader's face flushed with rage, grinding his teeth. You arrogant brat, he roared, ordering his subordinates, Cripple him for me. The muscular thugs aggressively charged towards Li Fan. Li Fan calmly raised his hand. Blood-red energy began to surge out. He muttered, Skill activated. In a flash, the energy condensed into a sharp blood sword, ready for a massacre. Li Fan took a stance. A long staff condensed from crimson blood energy in his hand, radiating intense killing intent. Without another word, Li Fan swung his weapon, unleashing a crimson energy wave that swept across the floor at terrifying speed. The leading thug, before he could understand what was happening, was struck directly by the energy wave, letting out a miserable scream. With a single swing of his hand, Li Fan created an energy vortex, sweeping away the entire bald gang charging towards him. The result was immediate. All the muscular thugs lay piled on top of each other, eyes wide, foaming at the mouth, eliminated in an instant. Elisa's eyes sparkled, giving a thumbs up in encouragement. Big brother is so awesome. But Li Fan coldly replied, "You'd better call me Li Fan." Wang Lei stood nearby, his face pale as a sheet, stammering, "Master, why did you use your power here?" Li Fan calmly replied, "Am I not allowed to fight back?" Wang Lei hastily warned in fear, "If he finds out you used your power in the club, we're dead for sure." Li Fan turned around, his gaze, sharp as a knife, glared directly at Wang Lei, his aura completely overwhelming. "You're dead for sure." A burly man in a vest stepped out, introducing himself as Li Weidong, the rank 8 Mediterranean tyrant. He sneered provocatively, "Do you really think we don't have anyone to deal with you?" Li Weidong grabbed Wang Lei by the collar, putting the newly promoted C-rank kid in his place for daring to challenge him. Wang Lei angrily asked who this old man was, while Li Fan calmly observed the Mediterranean tyrant, the leader of the bald gang. Li Fan sneered mockingly, calmly commenting that he didn't expect this world to have so many bald branches. Provoked, Li Weidong turned and grabbed Li Fan's shirt, roaring, "You bastard!" Another muscular club bouncer stepped out, his face grim, ordering Li Fan to kneel and apologize to the bald gang if he wanted to be spared. Li Fan stood still as a statue, his aura overwhelming, coldly retorted, "What if I don't?" The club bouncer sneered, treating Li Fan's challenge as a child's joke. Losing patience, the muscular man roared, "Then go to hell," then threw a devastating punch towards Li Fan. The earth-shattering punch was suddenly stopped right in front of Li Fan by an intervening shout. A figure in a high-slit kipao appeared, her voice full of authority. "Let me see." The intervening figure revealed herself, a dominant woman in a high-slit kipao, holding a long pipe, radiating an overwhelming aura. The entire crowd parted, bowing in unison to Boss Ni, the owner of this pleasure den who had just arrived, questioning who dared to cause trouble in her territory. Li Weidong, the Mediterranean tyrant, also had to lower his voice in greeting, admitting it had been a long time since he'd seen Boss Ni. The muscular man immediately tattled, pointing at Li Fan and blaming him. "This brat hit my men first, that's why I had to act." Li Fan stood still, his gaze unwavering, directly facing the powerful owner of the bar. The two stood facing each other, one with rugged combat boots, the other with sharp high heels, the atmosphere as tense as a drawn bowstring. Boss Ni glanced at Li Fan, then turned back to Li Weidong, asking suspiciously, "Is he telling the truth?" Wang Lei suddenly rushed forward to block them, hastily explaining, "Boss Ni, please don't be angry. My master doesn't know the rules here, he didn't mean to cause trouble." Boss Ni raised an eyebrow, surprised to see the strongest new star acknowledge someone else as his teacher. "Oh, it's Little Lei? Since when do you have a master?" Wang Lei confirmed it was recent. Li Weidong saw an opportunity and interjected, promising to compensate the bald gang double for the damages, but with a small request, his eyes full of killing intent. Glancing at Li Fan, Li Weidong pointed at Elisa, who was engrossed in eating, declaring that everything was her fault and he wanted to keep her to deal with her. Her name called. Elisa dazedly lifted her head from the half-eaten plate, completely unaware of what was happening. Hearing the threat aimed at his sister, Li Fan's killing intent immediately erupted, his eyes sharp as daggers. Wang Lei frantically ran after his master, who was slowly advancing, trying to stop him. "Master, don't get angry, let me talk to them." While Boss Ni and Li Weidong watched with condescending expressions, Li Fan completely ignored the two leaders, walking straight past them as if they were air. It turned out he only went to Elisa, snatched the plate from her mouth and scolded her. "I told you not to eat the plate." Boss Ni frowned, looking incredulous at the audacity of the strange young man. Does this brat not know what fear is? The boss turned to ask Li Fan if he heard the bald man's offer, and he calmly replied, "Yeah, I heard it," while still dealing with his gluttonous sister. Boss Ni exhaled a puff of smoke, ordering in an undeniable tone, "Then bring your girl over here." Li Fan turned back to face the boss, a challenging smirk on his face. "What if I say no?" The muscular Li Weidong tensed up, his neck veins bulging as he threatened, "You dog, that's enough arrogance. Do you think Boss Ni won't eliminate you right here?" Before he could finish his sentence, Li Fan had already made his move, his steel hand clamped tightly around Li Weidong's chin, squeezing hard, distorting his face in pain. With one hand, Li Fan effortlessly lifted the giant man off the ground as if he weighed nothing, his voice full of challenge. "Go ahead and try." Boss Ni stepped forward, her voice icy as she saw her subordinate humiliated right before her eyes. "You dare to make a move in my territory?" The boss exhaled a puff of smoke from her long pipe, her eyes sharp and dangerous. It seems my name holds no weight here anymore. Wang Li's face turned green with fear, hastily trying to persuade him. Master, apologize quickly. Causing trouble with her won't end well. But Li Fan calmly retorted. Is this old hag very strong? Wang Lei frantically confirmed the boss identity. Of course. She's Nightwatcher B rank, Heishon 08. Smoker Ni Xingqiu. After hearing that, Ni Xingqiu took one last drag from her pipe, then exhaled a cold, sharp stream of smoke, ready to turn it into a deadly weapon. The smoke immediately transformed into countless icy shurikens, shooting out at terrifying speed, aimed directly at Li Fan, Wang Lei, and the muscular man still suspended in the air. Wang Lei screamed in despair. Master, be careful. But Li Fan maintained a calm expression, one hand already raised, ready to block the attack. Instead of acting himself, Li Fan used the club bouncer as a human shield to block Boss Ni's attack, blood splattering from the man's mouth. Boss Ni's sharp smoke struck the club bouncer, making him let out a miserable scream, while Li Fan simply released his hand. A burst of white energy erupted from Li Fan's hand, not only blowing away the smoke but also sending the large man flying backward. Li Fan coldly watched the club bouncer fly like a broken toy, the boss's attack completely nullified. The club bouncer lay sprawled on the floor, unconscious, while Li Fan stood there without a single scratch. Li Fan calmly mocked Boss Ni, sarcastically remarking on her willingness to sacrifice her subordinate. Not a team player? That's a cruel move. Provoked, Boss Ni snapped. Stop talking nonsense. The smoke from her pipe flared up violently, signaling a new technique. The boss began to summon her power. Thick smoke gathered around her pipe. Smoke guards, she shouted, and an army of smoke knights, brandishing sharp swords, appeared from thin air, ready to tear apart their enemies. Facing an entire army, Li Fan merely sneered, cold energy radiating from his body, forming a solid defensive wall, completely disregarding these mere soldiers. Facing the smoke guards, Li Fan didn't bother to defend, instead charging straight into the enemy formation, stepping on one's head as if no one was there. Li Fan sneered. Crimson energy began to surge from his body. He growled, "Skill. Let's go." A powerful compressed wind energy sphere formed between Li Fan's palms, ready to explode. Whoosh! Li Fan unleashed all his energy, creating a storm that swept across the entire arena, blowing away the smoke guards and everyone around. The club-goers, caught in the crossfire, screamed as the whirlwind flung them into the air. Even Boss Ni and her subordinates struggled to resist the terrifying wind force, completely on the defensive. Meanwhile, Wang Lei, sitting behind, could only give a thumbs up, admiring his master's overwhelming power, while Elisa innocently munched on fruit. Boss Ni frowned, admitting, "Wind element ability? It truly counters my power." But immediately after, she smirked defiantly. Her legs began to gather strength, and smoke swirled around her again. However, Boss Ni unleashed a powerful high kick. B-rank Nightwatcher isn't just about superpowers, kid. Facing a close-quarters fight, Li Fan immediately activated his iron body skill, tensing his muscles. Boss Ni's eyes widened, unable to believe this kid's toughness. Li Fan casually blocked Boss Ni's smoke kick with his bare hand, smirking. "I'm not afraid of close combat either." But the soft sensation from the kick made Li Fan blush. Something felt off here. Boss Ni maintained her high kick posture, taunting, "How long do you plan to hold this pose, kid?" Both embarrassed and angry, Boss Ni snapped, "You bastard!" Li Fan also lost his patience, swatting her leg away and cursing directly, "Get lost." A light push was enough to send Boss Ni flying backward. Li Fan's strength was completely overwhelming. Giving his opponent no time to breathe, Li Fan transformed his hand into a sharp energy blade, preparing to strike. Li Fan darted forward, the blade in his hand slashing directly into the hazy smoke, determined not to let Boss Ni escape. Without further ado, Li Fan activated his binding skill, and crimson energy ribbons lashed out like whips. Before Boss Ni could even process what was happening, she was tightly bound from head to toe by the ribbons, her face utterly shocked. Seeing their boss captured, the club goons intended to rush forward to assist, but Li Fan coldly threw a warning. "Stay still." Bound like a rice cake, Boss Ni growled, sweat pouring down her face. "Who exactly are you? What rank?" Li Fan casually scratched his head, answering with feigned innocence. "Me? My name is Li Fan, just a lowly D-rank hunter." Upon hearing the answer, Boss Nie was speechless, unable to believe a D-rank could defeat her, and began to doubt the government's ranking system itself. Li Fan deactivated the skill, and Boss Nie immediately collapsed onto the floor, completely overwhelmed and humiliated. Li Fan sneered, taunting, You probably don't want to fight anymore, do you? Just then, Wang Li's voice shouted from afar. Master, dodge! Li Fan was still bewildered, not understanding what was happening, when a giant shadow enveloped him from above. A fist as large as a boulder descended from the sky, aimed directly at Li Fan's position. Li Fan roared, throwing a punch directly at the weight descending from the ceiling. The attacker, Li Weidong, a mutated giant, was stopped by Li Fan's punch, his face changing color in surprise. Boom! Li Fan's punch exploded, pushing back the giant, demonstrating a completely different level of power. Seeing his master ambushed, Wang Lei went berserk, roaring. Who dares to lay a hand on my master? Gathering lightning energy, Wang Lei charged straight at the giant, shouting, Die! Wang Lei unleashed a thunderous punch at his opponent's face, but the giant merely sneered contemptuously. Clang! The giant easily caught Wang Lei's punch with one hand, completely neutralizing his attack. Giving Wang Lei no time to react, the giant grabbed his leg and lifted him like a cheap toy. Thud! Wang Lei was mercilessly slammed onto the floor, lying flattened in a daze. An assistant asked Boss Nie if Li Weidong had been holding back during the test, but she coldly denied. No. Boss Nie, stone-faced, declared that man was no longer the Mediterranean tyrant. Now, Li Weidong had transformed into a true terror monster, roaring menacingly in his gigantic form. His sudden transformation caused the civilians to panic utterly, screaming and desperately searching for a way to survive. Without a shred of mercy, Li Weidong extended his monstrous hand and seized a man in a suit from the crowd. The unfortunate man's throat was choked, and he was effortlessly lifted into the air. More horrifyingly, the entire surrounding crowd was also transformed into soulless puppets, their eyes glowing brightly, staggering forward like an army of zombies. The assistant wondered how a human could turn into a terror, but Boss Nie firmly stated, he's being controlled. Boss Nie took a drag from her cigarette, her eyes sharp as razors, continuing to analyze the situation. She concluded with a chilling statement, revealing a shocking truth. The real enemy is hiding within the crowd. Amidst the rubble, a purple-haired girl burst into desperate sobs, looking towards a mysterious shadowy figure sitting regally on the ruins. Just as the controlled purple-haired girl charged, Elisa appeared, stopping the attack with a chokehold. Elisa growled, her eyes filled with killing intent. Warning, don't harm my brother. Li Fan gently reminded. I told you, just call me Li Fan. He affectionately patted Elisa's head, signaling for her to let him handle it, which made the girl immediately blush and comply. Obediently, Elisa pushed the purple-haired girl directly towards Li Fan, giving him full discretion. As soon as she was released, she roared like a wild beast and frantically charged at Li Fan. Li Fan calmly raised his hand, green energy beginning to gather, while Tong grumbled beside him. You only remember me when you're fighting. He activated his brutal vines skill, and countless green vines sprouted from the ground, tightly coiling around the purple-haired girl. To her horror, Tong wondered why he didn't just finish her off, but Li Fan explained that she was just a brainwashed civilian, and it was better to restrain her until she recovered. Li Fan raised his hand, green energy erupting, preparing to clear the battlefield. Whoosh! Countless vines sprouted from the ground, tightly binding all the brainwashed civilians and the monster Li Weidong in an instant. Observing from a distance, Boss Nie and her subordinates couldn't believe their eyes. He has two abilities? Is he really this strong? The vines tightened, crushing one of the unfortunate puppets, struggling to break free. As Li Weidong broke free and charged, Li Fan dodged the attack, coldly activating his hardening skill. I almost forgot about you. The terror monster let out a crazed roar, firing a destructive energy beam from its mouth straight at Li Fan. Li Fan used his steel-hardened arm to casually block the energy beam, taunting, That must hurt, huh? Giving his opponent no time to breathe, Li Fan's eyes flashed with a deadly blue light, activating his piercing eye ocular skill. An invisible energy surge shot out, knocking Li Weidong to the floor, leaving him convulsing in utter helplessness. With his piercing eye activated, blue energy lines enveloped Li Fan as he scanned the entire battlefield to find the true mastermind. Amidst the crowd, a scar-faced puppeteer with a sick smile suddenly revealed himself, energy radiating from his chest, arrogantly declaring, I found you. But Li Fan was the true hunter. His sharp gaze locked onto the target as he silently retorted, I found you. Without a second's hesitation, Li Fan took his stance, his hand transforming into a solid stone blade, preparing for a swift finishing blow. Whoosh! Li Fan shot straight into the air like a bullet, hurtling towards the terrified crowd looking up. Crash! He landed with immense force, plunging his blade into the floor to gain momentum, his sole target the scar-faced puppeteer. The invisible attack had arrived. Before the scar-faced puppeteer could comprehend what was happening, one of his eyes exploded, and his body began to crack. A gigantic, sharp bioblade pierced through the scar-faced puppeteer's chest, finishing off the puppet master in a single strike. Li Fan stood coldly over the corpse, a new, glowing red blade in his hand, while a mysterious spider minion observed from afar. The tiny spider master revealed its true form as a hideous boss with a dozen glowing red eyes, showing interest. Impressive. You saw through my disguise. Li Fan smirked, his overwhelming aura radiating, pointing at himself and asserting, "Nothing escapes my sight." The spider master roared, declaring it would fight to the death, and lunged forward. It immediately shot out an energy web, sealing off the exit, and the terrified civilians realized their escape route was blocked. Energy tendrils spread like a spider web, coiling around each person in the crowd, making them scream in agony. The spider master began to form hand seals, channeling a dark purple demonic energy to transform its prey. A strange liquid enveloped the civilians, transforming their bodies amidst their painful screams. In a flash, all the civilians had been turned into an army of puppets with glowing eyes, slowly advancing towards Li Fan under the spider master's control. Facing an entire army, Li Fan merely sneered, mocking, "Is this your idea of fighting to the death?" The spider master roared defiantly, its 6 glowing red eyes flashing with madness. "How about it? If you're so good, kill them all." Li Fan smirked, his hand transforming into a grotesque bioblade, his contempt clear. "Tisk, to think you'd pull such a cheap civilian hostage trick," he muttered, his gaze fixed on the charging crowd, seemingly preparing to activate a special skill. The civilian puppets charged frantically, but were immediately blocked by a wall of armored smoke guards, unable to advance another step. Li Fan turned in surprise, seeing Boss Ni standing behind him. He couldn't help but wonder. "I can't believe you'd step in to help me." Boss Ni cast a cold glance, her tone full of authority. "Don't misunderstand. I simply don't tolerate anyone messing with my establishment." With that, she inhaled a wisp of smoke and exhaled a razor-sharp dart, flatly declaring that even monsters were no exception. Whoosh! The smoke dart shot through the air with tearing speed, aiming straight for the complacent monster. Thwack! The dart embedded itself directly into one of the Spider Master's eyes, fresh blood spurting out amidst its painful shriek. Amidst the tension, Wang Lei went into full fanboy mode, utterly thrilled to watch 2 formidable hunters cooperate, while Elisa sat casually behind, munching on watermelon and watching the drama unfold. Having taken a painful blow, the Spider Master knew it stood no chance, muttering that its reconnaissance mission was complete, and there was no need to fight to the death. Beginning to plan its escape, it let out a roar, ordering its puppet subordinates, "All of you, block them for me." Receiving the order, the controlled civilians immediately turned, charging towards Boss Ni like a horde of bloodthirsty zombies to shield their master's escape. Boss Ni sneered contemptuously, her sharp eyes flatly declaring, "You won't escape." Disregarding the small fry, she stomped her heel and leaped over the heads of the puppets, heading straight for her main target. Mid-air, Boss Ni unleashed her ultimate move, Smoke Arrow Barrage, transforming all the surrounding smoke into a deadly rain of darts. Wang Lei raised his phone, yelling like a true fanboy, "Here it comes." Boss Nie's ultimate technique. The Smoke Arrow Barrage rained down, and the Spider Master could only widen its eyes in horror, completely overwhelmed by the destructive attack. Just when everyone thought the Spider Master was surely done for under Boss Nie's attack, Li Fan suddenly rushed out, using his body to fully absorb the rain of glowing red energy. Wang Lei and the club goons froze, mouths agape, unable to comprehend what was happening. Boss Nie was furious, pointing directly at Li Fan and demanding, "What are you doing? Are you siding with that monster?" Li Fan ignored her, crushing the energy ribbon on his chest, and growled, "No one can stop me from going home." Boss Nie was stunned by the irrelevant answer, muttering, "Go home?" Even Elisa, who was eating a snack, looked up with a curious expression. Sensing trouble, the Spider Master immediately tucked its legs in, stealthily crawling across the floor, intending to make a quick getaway. Just a few steps into its crawl, a hand pressed firmly onto its head, pinning it to the floor, preventing any movement. Li Fan grabbed the Spider Master's head, lifted it, and held his blade to its neck with a savage smile. "Once I kill you, I can finally go home." Li Fan grabbed Elisa, growling with a grim expression. "What are you doing? Spit that monster out right now." Choked, Elisa spat out a sharp object that looked like a piece of bone. Swish, swish. Elisa spat out a swarm of baby spider minions, scattering them across the floor. Boss Nie, expressionless, ordered her subordinates in black suits, "Go after them." Li Fan still held Elisa tightly, growling a warning to the monster inside her. "You got lucky this time. There won't be a next time for a long while." Tong hovered, coldly questioning Li Fan. "Why don't you just kill her and finish the mission?" Li Fan tightened his grip, making Elisa's eyes widen in shock at his killing intent. He roared in despair, grabbing her collar. "I'm almost home. Why should I give up?" Elisa looked him straight in the eye, her voice strangely resolute. "It can't be killed." Wang Lei hurriedly appeared to intervene. "Master, don't get agitated." "I don't think she meant it that way." Li Fan erupted with killing intent, growling into Elisa's face while Wang Lei could only watch. "Do you know how important this monster is to me?" Losing all patience, Li Fan pressed his face close to Elisa's, his bloodshot eyes gleaming with deadly intent. "I'll kill you. Once I kill you, I can return to my own world," Li Fan stated bluntly, leaving Elisa stunned, her purple eyes wide with shock and fear. Just as the tension reached its peak, an urgent announcement echoed everywhere, alerting them to a spatial fluctuation caused by a Terror-class monster near City A. Li Fan looked up, his expression cold, while Tong, hovering beside him, scoffed. "You're really lucky, Terror-class monsters appear so often." A charming voice suddenly rang out, as Boss Ni appeared with an overwhelming aura, looking directly at Li Fan. "It seems you're very eager to kill that terror." Boss Ni smirked meaningfully, offering an irresistible proposal. "How about we make a deal?" Li Fan narrowed his eyes, wary yet curious about the sudden invitation. "A deal?" Boss Ni exhaled a puff of smoke from her pipe, stating her condition. "I can tell you the exact location of the terror. In return, you'll work as a bouncer at my bar for 1 month." Wang Lei hurriedly leaned close to Li Fan's ear, whispering a warning. "Master, working at this bar means working for Boss Ni. You need to think carefully." Tong casually urged Li Fan. "Just kill this woman and it'll be over, no more complications." But he remained silent, deep in thought. Li Fan's gaze was sharp and cold, but it hid intense internal conflict. Elisa desperately clutched his sleeve, her voice trembling as she called out, "Brother." Li Fan gritted his teeth, cursing helplessly as he was forced to choose between emotion and duty. He spun around, shoving Elisa aside, and roared, "Don't ever show your face to me again." Immediately, Li Fan turned to question Boss Ni about the terror's information, and she merely smirked confidently. "Don't underestimate the intelligence network of a B-rank hunter." Tong teased again, feigning surprise. "I thought you were the type who'd never bow down to anyone." Li Fan's expression unchanged, he muttered, calculating, "Whatever. Once I complete the mission, I can return to my world. Being a temporary subordinate is fine." Decisively, Li Fan extended his hand to seal the deal. Boss Ni smiled with satisfaction. "I like straightforward men like you." Boss Ni gestured. "Follow me." And Li Fan, without hesitation, accepted the invitation. Elisa stood frozen, helplessly watching Li Fan and Boss Ni's backs disappear down the dim corridor. Her face completely crumbled, her eyes filled with shock and hurt at being abandoned by her own brother. Wang Lei approached, politely calling out to Elisa, but she was still in shock, showing no reaction. Seeing this, Wang Lei, fired up, decided to follow. "Let's go too," even though Elisa remained frozen. Meanwhile, Boss Ni, while leading the way, began to casually question Li Fan, clearly trying to probe him. She was curious why someone as strong as Li Fan was an unknown nobody, with no name on the hunter rankings. Li Fan replied nonchalantly, claiming that rankings were meaningless, making Boss Ni raise an eyebrow in confirmation. Boss Ni smirked mockingly, thinking to herself that a monster of this caliber truly didn't need to care about ranks. She glanced behind her, asking Li Fan if he was sure it was alright to let those two tails follow them. Li Fan waved it off, saying not to worry, while in the distance, Wang Lei was carrying Elisa on his back, determined not to fall behind. Boss Ni burst out laughing, amused by Li Fan's nonchalant and unconcerned attitude. She turned back, her eyes flashing with danger, asking pointedly, "Aren't you afraid of being led into a trap?" Li Fan crossed his arms, his face impassive, replying with a single curt word, "No." His hand immediately transformed into a sharp biological blade, delivering a stern warning, "If it's a trap, I'll kill you." Boss Ni froze, facing Li Fan's undisguised killing intent and the blade head-on. Instead of fear, she burst into raucous laughter, seemingly very impressed by this high-quality intimidation. Boss Ni regained her confident demeanor, reassuring him that she was always an honest businesswoman, then gestured for Li Fan to proceed. They both stopped before a sturdy steel door, which looked like the entrance to a secret bunker. Boss Ni casually took a drag from her pipe, then exhaled a puff of white smoke. The smoke immediately condensed into the shape of a key, which automatically inserted itself into the lock on the door. Creak! The heavy steel door slowly opened, revealing a secret passage inside. Li Fan and Boss Nia stood before the pitch-black entrance. The atmosphere seemed tense. Boss Ni gestured for him to enter. Li Fan said nothing, silently following. Scene change. Wang Lei was carrying Elisa, running frantically down another corridor, seemingly being pursued. Inside the base, Boss Ni began to tease, claiming that Li Fan's true strength far surpassed his B-rank hunter label. Li Fan lost patience, growling, demanded information about the terror boss, ignoring Tong, who was peeking curiously from his shoulder. Boss Ni turned her back to the control panel, replying curtly, "Connecting now." She began operating a complex control panel, her fingers moving swiftly. Click, a button was pressed, activating the system. A glitching blue hologram appeared from the device, the signal connecting. A glitching hologram of a muscular, afro-haired man appeared from the communication device, looking quite imposing. Boss Ni, puffing on her pipe, reported curtly, "Things are happening on my end." The hologram afro man on the other end questioned why she was contacting him now. Scene change. Wang Lei, carrying Elisa, heard the voice and burst into tears like a true fanboy. "That voice. It's definitely S-rank Soundwave. I even bought his album." Meanwhile, Elisa could only look on blankly. The hologram Afro man spun around, his eyes filled with killing intent, as he noticed an unauthorized person standing nearby. Li Fan stood with his arms crossed, his face impassive, not bothering to pay attention to the hologram growling on the floor. "Who is this guy? This matter is top secret," the hologram Afro man snapped. Boss Ni replied nonchalantly, "My bodyguard, and a hunter as well." Boss Ni showed impatience, wanting to close the deal quickly. "Okay, let's discuss this quickly, and then leave. I still have to get back to my place." The hologram Afro man warned sternly about the mission's difficulty. "This mission is extremely dangerous. The United Government has already dispatched 2 A-rank hunters." Another assistant hologram appeared behind him. Hearing the severity, even Boss Ni was surprised. The hologram Afro man added, "If necessary, they might deploy an S-rank hunter as well." Boss Ni turned to Li Fan, wondering, "It's just a terror invasion. Why are they making such a big deal out of it this time?" The hologram Afro man warned sternly, "In short, this terror incident is different, and all of you must take it seriously." The hologram Afro man's signal began to flicker, his image breaking into chaotic pixels. Boss Ni looked at the 3D map on the floor, relaying the information. "The terror gate is expected to open in this plaza. You must leave immediately." The superior's hologram completely vanished, leaving only flickering data blocks. The call ended, leaving only the hologram projector on the podium. Boss Ni turned to Li Fan, reminding him of their agreement. "I've told you about the terror incident. Don't go back on your word." Li Fan replied curtly, "I won't." Tong flew around, suspiciously asking Li Fan if he intended to keep his promise, but the young man just sneered, muttering to himself, "If the opponent isn't from this world, then it's not a breach of contract." Boss Ni didn't ask further, decisively ordering, "Then let's go." Li Fan, Boss Ni, and Tong strode out of the room together, preparing for the new mission. Just as the group was about to disappear from sight, a voice suddenly called out, making both Li Fan and Boss Ni turn their heads. Elisa frantically spread her arms, blocking their path, and yelled, "Don't go." Li Fan shot her an icy glare, his voice full of killing intent. "Do you really want to die?" Overwhelmed by his aura, Elisa could only silently bow her head, not daring to utter a sound. But she didn't give up, trying to persuade them once more. "Don't go. It's too dangerous there." Elisa stood, blocking both Li Fan and Boss Ni, determined not to let them leave. Boss Ni gently placed a hand on Elisa's shoulder, calling her little sister, which stunned the girl. Boss Ni calmly explained, "We know it's dangerous, but a hunter's job is to face danger head-on." Without further words, Li Fan and Boss Ni brushed past Elisa, unanimously deciding to set off. Standing afar, Wang Lei sniffled like a true fanboy. "Oh my god, Boss Ni is so beautiful, I'm going to cry." Regaining his composure, Wang Lei clenched his fists, brimming with fighting spirit. "Master and Boss Ni are right. Let's go take down that terror." Elisa's face was tense, as she muttered, fearing that if they continued, those things would appear. Seeing Wang Lei still dazed, Elisa grabbed his collar and snapped, "Don't just stand there, they've gone too far." In stark contrast, Boss Ni merely exhaled a puff of smoke, her demeanor still icy. A luxurious car was waiting, and Boss Ni and Li Fan prepared to set off on their mission. Li Fan smirked, commenting that the car looked pretty good. Boss Ni explained nonchalantly, her hand gliding over a virtual interface. "Once you reach B rank, the association gives you one immediately." Opening the car door, Boss Ni gave a brief order to Li Fan, "Get in." Li Fan suddenly called out, "Wait." He bent down and picked up a mechanical bug-shaped tracking device that had been secretly following them. Bang! Li Fan threw the bug straight onto the car's hood, its mechanical legs digging into the metal casing. Li Fan dusted his hands, speechless, but looking extremely satisfied. "Perfect. Boss Ni glanced at the flattened mechanical bug, then turned to ask Li Fan why he was carrying such a thing. Li Fan nonchalantly hoisted his electric bicycle into the trunk of the luxury car, explaining curtly that it would easily get stolen if left outside, leaving Boss Ni speechless but accepting. Boss Ni smirked, teasing that she never expected a big shot like him to care about a crappy electric bicycle. Li Fan replied with a serious expression, asserting that he had grown fond of it after using it for so long. Now settled in the passenger seat, Li Fan turned to ask Boss Ni, "Aren't you going to drive?" Boss Ni sat in the driver's seat, imperiously gesturing to the car. "Go to Tongtian Plaza." An electronic face appeared on the steering wheel, announcing that autonomous driving mode had been activated and reminding them to fasten their seatbelts. Li Fan marveled at the advanced technology. Boss Ni casually explained that B-rank hunters and, above all, have their own customized cars. The car sped away, leaving Wang Lai standing there regretfully watching it go. "Damn it. I'm one step behind again." Left in the dust, Wang Lai growled, lightning sparking in his eyes, declaring that he would catch up on his own. He turned to Elisa, warning seriously, "Miss, I'm very fast. Hold on tight." Wang Lai channeled his energy, letting out a pained shout as he pushed his lightning power to its limit. He roared, "Let's go!" then transformed into a brilliant golden lightning bolt, tearing through the night. With a wild grin, Wang Lai reveled in the terrifying speed as his body became a streak of electricity. Looking in the rearview mirror, a dazzling golden lightning bolt was frantically tailing the car. Boss Ni sat in the car, a smirk of amusement on her face as she remarked, "Your disciple has caught up again." Li Fan crossed his arms, his face expressionless as he curtly denied, "He's not my disciple." A few streaks of meteors flashed across the night sky, signaling a long night ahead. The luxurious car finally stopped at a vast, stone-paved plaza, the atmosphere filled with mystery. Li Fan and Boss Ni got out of the car. Li Fan glanced around and deadpanned, "We're here, huh? Doesn't look like anything special." Li Fan turned to tease Boss Ni, his eyes full of challenge. "Smoker, you're too slow." In the shadows, a ninja muttered grumpily, "We've been waiting for half an hour." Standing nearby was a cleric-like man, his face stoic, his eyes full of judgment. It turned out to be a duo. The ninja perched atop a lamppost, while the old cleric stood with his arms crossed, waiting below. The ninja, who introduced himself as Shinobi Goro, G-rank hunter, Hashinate 2, scoffed, "A mere B-rank hunter dares to make us wait this long." The old cleric, John, A-rank hunter Hashon 65, clutched a holy book and muttered, "May the Almighty forgive your rudeness." Li Fan, annoyed, asked, "Are these guys looking for trouble?" But Boss Ni immediately warned, "They're A-rank hunters, don't act rashly." Boss Ni calmly explained her tardiness. "I also just found a terror in my bar and was dealing with it." Slash. The lamppost where the ninja had been sitting was severed by an invisible strike, falling to the ground. Goro stomped his foot, his voice full of sarcasm. "What a coincidence. A terror always appears whenever there's a mission." The ninja turned to taunt Boss Ni, his voice contemptuous. "I told you I could handle it alone. Why drag in a trashy B-ranker?" Boss Ni narrowed her eyes coldly, her imposing aura evident. "Are you looking for trouble?" Goro smirked behind his mask, openly challenging. "Trouble?" The ninja crossed his arms and continued to boast. "At least 100 terrors have died by my hand. Do you really think I'd care about a weakling like you?" Tong hovered beside Li Fan, egging him on, Hez boasting so loudly, "Li Fan, go punch him in the mouth." But Li Fan replied indifferently, "I don't have time." John, the cleric, finally spoke up, cutting off their bickering. "Stop arguing." John glanced at Boss Ni and Li Fan, reminding his comrades, "Haven't you noticed your energy detector?" Boss Ni looked down at the small detector attached to her thigh. The number displayed on it was unbelievable. 9,999. Boss Ni broke out in a cold sweat, her face paling. 9,999? This energy reading is nearly 100 times stronger than a normal terror. Goro stared at the detector, disbelieving his eyes. This thing must be broken. How could a terror possibly be this strong? Suddenly, a colossal dark energy vortex ripped through the city sky, signaling an earth-shattering event. John shouted a warning, and all four immediately took defensive stances, looking up at the terrifying power descending upon them. Even Li Fan had to look up, a serious glint in his eyes. The real deal had appeared. From the center of the vortex, a destructive pink-purple energy beam shot straight down to the ground, like a judgment from the heavens. Faced with the apocalyptic-level attack, the entire group was crushed by immense pressure, and John braced himself to block the blow. Boss Ni was drenched in sweat, unable to believe the attack's power. How can it be this strong? This terror is truly the real deal. In the distance, Wang Lei and Elisa also felt the tremor. The disciple worried. Something's happening on Master's side. Elisa looked towards the pillar of light, her face hardening, whispering as if she had known all along. It has truly appeared. After the terrifying impact, the energy dissipated, leaving behind a bizarre high-heeled shoe plunged straight into the ground at the epicenter. From within the purple smoke, the enemy's grotesque combat boot landed on the ground, signaling a completely different presence. The giant armored guardian, wielding a massive greatsword, muttered disdainfully. How could such a paltry energy planet attract the attention of the Lord? Goro, eager for a fight, roared. You're arrogant, Terror, but it's your bad luck to run into Shinobi Goro. While John quickly intervened. Don't act alone. Ignoring the warning, Goro stomped his foot hard on the ground, gathering momentum as he shot forward like an arrow. The ninja, confident in his speed, soared into the air, aiming straight for the bulky guardian. Goro glided like a ghost, unleashing a series of intricate chain-sickle attacks around the enemy, and declaring confidently, "No terror can ever harm me." Successfully closing in, Goro swung his sickle, shouting triumphantly, "Gotcha!" A crushing blow to hope. The armored guardian merely extended his hand and effortlessly caught Goro's sickle, stopping the attack with feather-light ease. The guardian's greatsword flared with deadly energy light, while Goro remained suspended in midair, with no room to dodge. Whoosh! A destructive sword strike was unleashed, sending Goro flying like a fly, leaving John to only scream his name in despair. John broke out in a cold sweat, disbelieving his eyes. That guy is even faster than Goro. I didn't even see him move. In the thick of the action, Li Fan suddenly appeared, standing between Boss Ni and the giant armored golem. The armored golem glanced at the gasping ninja, its voice filled with disdain. This kind of trash isn't worth me opening that gate for. Beaten to a pulp, Goro lay sprawled on the ground, covered in blood, and cried out in despair. Someone, save me. At that very moment, Li Fan shot forward like a flash of lightning, a blur tearing through the air. Boom! Li Fan blocked the armored golem's devastating punch with one hand, creating a massive purple energy explosion. Li Fan's face was ice cold, not a hint of wavering as he directly confronted the enemy's power. Lying on the ground, Goro's eyes widened, unable to believe that someone dared to confront and block that monster's attack. The armored golem was also stunned, clearly not expecting its punch to be so easily blocked by a mere nobody. Growling through its helmet, the armored golem asked with annoyance, "Are you trying to block my path?" Li Fan smirked defiantly, his voice ice cold. "Block your path? No, I'm trying to kill you." The armored golem tensed its arm on its greatsword, while Goro's hand was utterly crushed, blood splattering everywhere. A terrifying purple energy explosion erupted as Li Fan and the armored golem clashed, pure power colliding. Seeing the situation was dire, John shouted at Boss Ni, "Don't just stand there, restrain it, provide support." And she immediately agreed. Boss Ni exhaled a stream of white smoke from her mouth, activating her signature ability. The armored golem was enveloped by the thick smoke, roaring in confusion. What the hell is this? John raised his holy book high, a brilliant golden aura radiating as he began to chant, "Blessings of the Almighty God." A pillar of buffing light descended directly onto Goro, while the armored golem was still struggling with Boss Ni's smokescreen. Tong urged loudly, "This power, stop staring, kill it." And Li Fan replied curtly, "Okay." The armored golem growled, its blue eyes behind the helmet glowing with extreme fury, ready for round 2. Without another word, Li Fan activated his Godspeed skill, a brilliant golden aura flaring as he charged straight into the armored golem, still trapped in the smoke. A lightspeed slash tore through the smoke, cutting cleanly into the golem's thick armor. The armored golem roared in pain, a glowing red slash deeply etched into its body, proving its defenses had been breached. Fresh blood from the monster's wound began to drip onto the cracked ground, signaling it had taken a fatal blow. Blood oozing from between its teeth, the armored golem snarled bitterly, "This is why I hate you weaklings." It continued to roar in fury, accusing the group of fighting dirty. "You don't even have the self-respect to fight one-on-one." Li Fan smirked, his eyes full of disdain. A mere low-level terror monster, demanding a one-on-one? Stung, the armored golem froze, repeating the question in anger. Low-level terror monster? Immediately, a colossal purple energy explosion erupted from the armored golem's body, tearing through space and engulfing everything around it. John frantically screamed Boss Ni's name as he saw her being swept into the heart of the destructive energy storm. John broke out in a cold sweat as he felt the overwhelming aura from the armored golem, muttering, "If its aura alone is this strong, how powerful is this thing really?" A weaponized spike plunged straight into a multicolored energy barrier, causing it to crack like shattered glass. The armored golem looked down at Li Fan's shadow with disdain, roaring. A lowly worm like you dares to be so insolent? The armored golem's eye flashed with deadly blue light. It snarled. Then let me show you. It declared its identity, what Gatekeeper Kaku can do, then unleashed a blow that blocked Li Fan's attack, creating an earthquake. Li Fan gripped the biomace in his hand, his eyes sharp, completely unfazed by his opponent's power. A colossal energy sphere began to form, radiating chaotic light, signaling that a domain technique was about to be unleashed. The sphere condensed into a pink-purple orb, cracking with deadly black energy tendrils poised to explode. Cleric John's face turned pale, realizing this situation was dire. The power of this terror is too immense. There's no way to win in a solo fight. Unable to stand by, Cleric John roared. Power of the Almighty God. His body erupted in brilliant golden holy light as he charged straight into the energy sphere. Cleric John unleashed a brilliant golden cross-shaped holy light punch, pouring all his strength into a single strike. The colossal cross-shaped punch flew straight into the armored golem's energy sphere, aiming to destroy it from within. Boss Knee and Cleric John both gaped in astonishment. The energy sphere was completely unharmed, the cleric's attack utterly useless. Kaku, the armored golem, declared disdainfully. In this arena, only the victor has the right to leave. No one is permitted to interfere in the battle. He bared his sharp fangs, growling that this was his respect for a true battle. Tong remarked that the golem was a battle maniac, but its power was different from ordinary terrors, while Li Fan remained nonchalant. Why care? Just kill it. Li Fan smirked in agreement, his hand already gripping a razor-sharp bioblood sword, radiating intense killing intent. Without a moment's hesitation, Li Fan shot into the air, delivering an overhead cleave straight down onto the armored golem's head. The armored golem looked up, its eyes wild with excitement, roaring in challenge. Come on, come on, crash. Li Fan swung his sword, striking the golem's weapon, creating an earth-shattering collision as purple and red energy exploded. Li Fan froze, realizing that the crimson energy on his blood sword was being siphoned away by an unseen force. Tong shrieked in panic. Run! It's draining your power! But Li Fan gritted his teeth and retorted. I know! Pushed back by the invisible pressure, Li Fan slid across the ground, completely outmatched by the armored golem's power. Li Fan growled, questioning the golem. You use this domain to drain others' power? Is that the respect you spoke of? The armored golem sneered, declaring its own rules. As long as it's a solo fight, we dictate the rules. He bared his sharp fangs, his voice dripping with sarcasm. And the armored golem continued to taunt Li Fan, who was surrounded by his own draining energy. You think as long as you don't touch me, you'll be fine. It explained the mechanism of this deadly trap. Every second in this arena is exchanged for your power. The full view showed Li Fan's crimson life force being drained into the golem's colossal energy vortex. As it concluded, the moment you stepped in here, your life's countdown began. Tong urgently yelled, You have to finish this quickly! And Li Fan, with a determined gaze, roared. I know. Li Fan plunged down like an arrow, but the armored golem merely stood still, taunting. Useless, useless. The armored golem continued to blabber. Why don't you just obediently accept defeat? But Li Fan roared, Shut up! And furiously swung his sword amidst the energy storm. From a distance, Boss Knee and Cleric John could only gape, Boss Knee exclaiming, What terrifying speed is this? While the cleric admitted, I can't see a thing. Without bothering to argue, Li Fan exerted himself, shouting, Skill, transforming the bio-sword in his hand into a colossal, blazing warhammer. The warhammer was swung with wind-ripping speed, aimed directly at the armored golem. Clang! A heaven-shattering blow struck the armored golem's shoulder, powerful enough to crush steel, but the armored golem merely smirked, effortlessly catching the blow with its bare hand, stopping the hammer as if it were nothing. Immediately, it swung its great sword in retaliation, a powerful slash tearing through the ground, sending Li Fan flying in astonishment. Sent flying, his face covered in blood, Li Fan still didn't give up, roaring, Bind. Immediately after, he continued his attack. Vines. Verdant vines erupted from the ground, tightly coiling around the armored golem. Although tightly bound by Li Fan's vines, the armored golem was still exerting its strength, causing the vines to begin cracking. He sneered, his voice full of disdain. You think these petty tricks can control me? How naive. Crack! With just one hand, the armored golem crushed the vines like mud, muttering, Disgusting. Li Fan stood opposite, calmly making an unrelated remark. I thought you were made of metal. A confident smile played on Li Fan's lips. blue lightning flashing around him as he whispered, "Skill." With a roar, Li Fan raised his sword high, gathering a destructive surge of lightning onto the blade and shouting, "Thunder strike." Whoosh! A lightning slash struck straight down onto the armored golem's head, powerful enough to tear through space. Paralyzed by the high-intensity current, smoke billowing from its armor, the armored golem roared in helplessness. "Damn it, I can't move." Li Fan calmly walked forward, each step like for knocking of death's door. Standing before an enemy that had completely lost its ability to resist, Li Fan coldly declared, "It's time to end this." Li Fan transformed his hand into a blade, looking down disdainfully at the crippled armored golem. From afar, Boss Ni and Cleric John watched in stunned silence as the armored golem's purple energy domain shattered like a soap bubble. Cleric John broke out in a cold sweat, unable to believe his eyes. This kid actually managed to defeat it solo. Meanwhile, Wang Lei, standing next to Elisa, boasted loudly, full of pride, "Ha ha ha, that's my master for you," leaving Boss Ni speechless. Only Elisa maintained a cold expression, sensing something ominous. It's about to begin. Despite being covered in blood, the armored golem still laughed maniacally, growling in defiance. "Ha ha ha, you think defeating me means it's over?" Li Fan frowned, his face still stained with blood, but his aura was not to be trifled with. You want to fight to the death?" The armored golem gathered its remaining strength, its clawed hands clutching its chest, activating an internal energy source. Boom! A blinding purple energy burst from the armored golem's chest, signaling an impending reversal. It plunged its greatsword straight into its own chest, roaring one last sentence. "You ants, true despair begins now." Which even surprised Li Fan. Li Fan snapped irritably. "Stop. If you kill yourself, what about my mission?" While Cleric John realized the opponent was performing a sacrifice, the armored golem shrieked miserably as dark purple energy erupted from its chest, where its own greatsword was deeply embedded. A colossal purple energy explosion swept everything away, the shockwave sending Li Fan, Boss Ni, and Cleric John flying. The energy dissipated, leaving behind a gigantic, glowing demonic magic circle on the ground. Along with a few mangled fragments of the armored golem's corpse, Li Fan and Cleric John were both stunned, not understanding what the hell had just happened after the boss's self-destruction. From the center of the magic circle, a grotesque demonic gate rose, revealing deep cosmic space within, signaling the imminent arrival of something terrifying. Cleric John muttered in disbelief, never expecting the monster to sacrifice its life just to open a gate. Goro, covered in blood, clicked his tongue in disappointment. I thought it would explode into smithereens." Goro brushed his hands together, declared the mission complete, and demanded to go bathe, ignoring Cleric John, who was pointing at the massive gate before them. The ninja waved his hand dismissively, deeming it just a harmless broken gate, then turned and walked away. Terrifying pressure emanated from the demonic gate, forcing Li Fan, Shinobi Goro, and Cleric John to brace themselves against it. Li Fan gritted his teeth, enduring, wondering, what the hell is this pressure? While Boss Ni was already crushed and unable to stand behind them. The energy inside the gate swirled like a cosmic storm, signaling the imminent arrival of something terrifying. Cleric John's eyes widened, and he screamed in panic. Something is coming out. A thin, grotesque hand slowly reached out from the spatial vortex, bringing with it a sense of death. An alien in a tight-fitting suit stepped out, silently observing his surroundings as if this were his home turf. Goro was stunned, unable to believe that what emerged from the gate was a weak-looking kid. That kid came out of that gate? Unlike the others, Li Fan maintained a calm expression, his sharp eyes assessing the new enemy. The ninja probed John. "He doesn't have any energy. Did the detector pick up anything?" And received a hesitant reply. "No, nothing at all." Goro readied a few shurikens, a provocative smirk on his face, deciding to test him himself. "We'll know what he can do once we try." Goro said no more, unleashing a rain of shurikens with his chaos technique to test him. The purple-skinned alien stood still, raising a finger defiantly, not bothering to dodge the attack. Boom! A pitch-black energy beam named Extinction shot out from the alien's fingertip, obliterating Goro's entire attack. The energy streak tore through space, proving a completely different level of power. Goro's skill was nothing. From a distance, Li Fan muttered, analyzing, "Does this final boss have a bug too?" While Tong suggested it might be a mutation, Boss Ni realized this was too difficult, ordering her subordinates. "He's too strong. We need to buy time for reinforcements." John turned to order the injured Goro. "Goro, you prepare too." The alien suddenly appeared behind John with unbelievable speed, whispering, "Heh, I didn't expect that." John screamed Goro, only to see the ninja clutching his chest with a gaping hole, unable to believe he died so pointlessly. Goro's body flipped and fell to the ground, leaving John and Boss Knee frozen in horror. After witnessing his comrade fall, John roared, declaring they had to fight with all their might if they wanted to survive. Boss Knee agreed, black smoke emanating from her, forming sharp blades, ready for battle. Li Fan stood with Tong, coldly assessing. With our current strength, we can't beat this guy. Then decided to cooperate with the other hunters. John began his prayer ritual, brilliant golden holy light enveloping him, preparing to buff the entire team. Under the holy light, Li Fan, John, and Boss Knee temporarily formed a team, directly confronting the alien. The alien merely sneered, scoffing that these petty tricks were nothing, even if they had defeated the low-level gatekeeper. Li Fan unexpectedly spoke up, outlining a battle plan. I have a way to approach him. You two focus on buying time. John immediately snapped, questioning where this brat came from to dare order an A-rank hunter like him. Completely ignoring the cleric, Li Fan activated his stealth skill, his entire body fading into a blue energy stream. The alien watched Li Fan disappear with amusement, disdainfully thinking that no matter what tricks these trash ants pulled, he was willing to play along. The alien stood amidst his subordinates, his voice full of contempt. You trash have only ever seen level 1 small fry. John was stunned as he heard him continue to explain the rules of the game. Kill enough, and a level 2 gatekeeper will appear, and if it also falls, then the true army of destruction will descend. The alien smirked, glancing towards the gate, where Li Fan, having just finished his stealth, was slowly reappearing. Whoosh! Li Fan lunged from his blind spot, swinging his sword to finish him, but the alien merely raised a finger to block it. Slash! A barrage of bloody red flesh spikes shot out from nowhere, piercing Li Fan's body in an instant. Li Fan coughed up blood, bitterly growling. Damn it! How did you find me? Tong unexpectedly appeared behind him, calmly pointing. Look behind you. Li Fan spun around, his eyes wide with horror at the unbelievable sight. Boss Knee and John also froze, their faces pale with shock. The alien hovered in the air. Below him, Boss Knee and John were already impaled and dead, as he declared, I am the commander of this army, Elijah. Li Fan, covered in blood, was stunned as he saw a vision of a completely different level of monster army, muttering, This is? He bitterly realized why the system wouldn't let him kill the terror, because it was just a pawn in a much larger game. Li Fan yelled, questioning Tong about the monster's ranks, but the AI simply stated, cold as ice. Finish the mission. Whatever monsters are out there are none of your business. Thinking of Elisa, Li Fan suppressed his anger, telling himself that once this was done, he could return. Even with his body pierced, Li Fan growled with determination. Just one more life. Elijah hovered in the air, crossing his arms and declaring the show was over. These silly games can end now. He looked directly at Li Fan, his eyes devoid of emotion, delivering a death sentence. It's time for you to depart. Witnessing the horrifying scene, Boss Knee and John froze, their faces white with shock. John was the first to regain his senses, shouting in panic. This situation is beyond our capabilities. Contact headquarters immediately. Before Boss Knee could react, a searing red energy beam pierced her chest. She only managed to gasp, I'm doing it, before collapsing. Elijah waved his hand, giving a crisp command. Attack. Beneath him, the armored golem's body lay motionless, while John and Goro prepared to rush into a fight to the death. The alien minions swarmed like disturbed bees, frantically charging at the hunters, turning the battlefield into a deadly chaos. John clasped his hands in prayer, brilliant golden holy light erupting as he shouted, Blessing of the Almighty. Not just for buffs, John unleashed a destructive holy light that swept away an alien minion, while Goro glided like a ghost through the encirclement. Even with blood still seeping from her chest, Boss Knee stood firm amidst the horde of monsters, her sharp eyes unwavering. Activating Smoke Step, Boss Knee glided like a ghost through the encirclement, her long hair sweeping across the battlefield like a dark river. Elijah merely observed silently, his face devoid of emotion, then uttered a contemptuous remark. Just as expected, a bunch of trash. Suddenly, Elijah's eyes narrowed. He seemed to have detected something unusual among the Earthlings. He stared at Elisa, surprise appearing on his face for the first time. Why is one of my kin following these humans? Pinned by Elijah's gaze, Elisa froze, her expression clearly showing astonishment and confusion. Elijah reached out towards Elisa, his voice full of contempt. Whatever your reasons, this act is an insult to our terror race. He growled, purple energy erupting from his hand, intending to obliterate Elisa on the spot. Go to hell! A destructive purple-blue energy stream shot straight forward, ready to blow away everything in its path. Boom! The attack was blocked by a pure white ice wall. Amidst the cold mist, Elisa stared blankly at Elijah, while the small fry soldiers behind also froze. From within the white mist, a figure stood up, a cold voice echoing, "I've made my decision." Li Fan stepped out, bravely shielding Elisa, his hand gripping a blazing red energy sword freshly forged on the spot. Pointing the hot weapon directly at Elijah's face, Li Fan declared firmly, "You will be my 10,000th target." Elijah showed a flicker of surprise. Then he looked down at his hand, where a dazzling red energy orb was condensing, preparing to retaliate. Seeing his opponent prepare a new move, Elisa frantically screamed, "Be careful!" Li Fan merely glanced over, his face utterly calm, as if implying his opponent's skill wasn't enough to make him turn his head. Huh? Li Fan's eyes widened in horror, a bad premonition washing over him. Boom! The commander's attack landed, Li Fan's right arm exploding into a bloody mess. Standing amidst the minions, the alien commander sneered contemptuously. "Aiming for me? Are you even old enough?" Li Fan staggered back, blood gushing from his mouth and the stump where his arm had been. His consciousness faded, and he realized a harsh truth. Am I going to die? From afar, Wang Lei let out a heart-wrenching roar at the horrific sight. "Master!" Boss Ni was also stunned, shouting in despair, "Li Fan!" In a moment of recollection, Li Fan saw Elisa's trembling hand reaching towards the barber's corpse. Reality returned. Elisa was holding him tightly from behind, trying to cling to the last vestiges of his life. Li Fan whispered, his eyes filled with regret as he finally understood everything. "Elisa, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you." Elisa sobbed in despair, letting out a heart-wrenching cry of, "Brother!" Holding Li Fan's rapidly cooling body, Elisa glared directly at the alien commander. The commander roared, his eyes spitting fire. "How dare you look at me like that, you traitor!" He waved his hand, ordering the minions. "Kill them all!" And the weapon-wielding monsters roared and charged. Elisa's eyes shifted from sorrow to icy cold, her murderous aura exploding. Just as a goat-headed beast charged forward, Wang Lei transformed into a golden lightning bolt, blocking it and shouting, "Watch out!" Boss Ni and her assistant were also present, immediately deciding to provide cover. "Let's shield them together." Both began unleashing their support combo. Ultimate power amplification. Dense fog. The fog enveloped the battlefield, and the alien monsters screamed in panic. Disoriented. "I can't see anything." Boss Ni's assistant yelled, urging everyone, "Run, while you still can." A purple-clad commander appeared amidst the fog, disdainfully remarking to the alien minions, "Level 1 monsters truly are trash." He raised his hand, gathering a deadly purple energy orb, and declared, "Then all of you can go to hell." Countless purple energy beams rained down, sweeping indiscriminately through friend and foe, and the alien minions were wiped out in a flash of anguish. Wang Lei was utterly panicked, shouting that he couldn't dodge this area of effect attack. In midair, an icy voice rang out along with snowflakes. "Freeze everything." Right in front of Wang Lei and Elisa, the purple energy beam was blocked by a colossal pillar of ice, completely frozen. Boss Ni's assistant was overjoyed, shouting, "Ha! Reinforcements from headquarters have finally arrived." Boss Ni narrowed her eyes, immediately recognizing, this skill, there's no mistaking it. A dominant figure appeared atop the ice pillar, none other than S-rank hunter No. 17, Ice Queen Olena. Wang Lei, carrying the unconscious Li Fan on his shoulder, his eyes shining like a true fanboy, lamented that a side character like himself, getting to meet an S-rank, was worth dying for. Ice Queen Olena stood guard, coldly ordering them, "Get out of here, quickly." Wang Lei, carrying Li Fan on his shoulder, gratefully replied and fled immediately. A purple-skinned commander of the invading forces appeared in midair, his aura soaring. He sneered, his voice full of sarcasm. "S-rank hunters are the strongest on this planet, aren't they?" Olena glanced at her enemy, her eyes as cold as ice, devoid of emotion. The purple commander roared, "Let's see how strong you really are," then fired countless deadly purple energy beams. Olena simply raised her hand, and a series of sharp ice pillars erupted from the ground, an icy aura enveloping the battlefield to meet the attack. Purple energy and ice collided, creating an earth-shattering explosion that blew away everything around them. To the astonishment of the retreating group, standing afar, Wang Lei's eyes shone like headlights, yelling like a fanboy, "This is an S-rank battle. So cool." While Boss Ni urged him to get in the car if he didn't want to be left behind. In the car, Cleric John placed one hand on the steering wheel, his other hand radiating brilliant golden holy light, muttering, "The blessing of the Almighty." The healing light enveloped Li Fan's heavily injured body. Elisa, sitting beside him, her eyes filled with worry. Cleric John drove while speaking frankly to Elisa, saying his abilities could only sustain him. To save Li Fan, they needed to find someone else. Wang Lai poked his head up, looking worried for the Ice Queen, but Cleric John reassured him that there was no need to worry about her. The entire battlefield had transformed into an icy wasteland. The power of an S rank was truly not to be trifled with. Thinking she had the upper hand, the Ice Queen was unexpectedly hit, her entire body covered in blood, frozen solid on the spot. The Purple Commander stood there, his voice full of contempt. Is this all the strongest on this planet amounts to? He turned his back, considering a formidable opponent dealt with, not bothering to look back. Suddenly, the Ice Queen's frozen body cracked into pieces. A spectacular deception. The Purple Commander realized he had been tricked, gritting his teeth bitterly. She escaped. He clicked his tongue, thinking that even if these ants had more tricks than expected, they were still just ants. The Purple Commander began gathering purple energy, declaring that his army's sheer numbers alone would be enough to swallow this entire planet. Amidst the purple smoke, an alien army began to materialize, led by an extremely arrogant, white-skinned, black-haired demon general. The white demon general roared furiously. I can't believe I let those weak creatures escape my grasp. He turned to the Purple Commander, his voice full of challenge in front of the entire army. I don't understand what they were thinking, making you commander. The Purple Commander froze, recognizing the one who dared to defy him, and growled, Is that you? Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Ice Queen was still observing the situation from afar, her face smudged but her eyes still sharp as knives. Though she had just narrowly escaped death, she merely gritted her teeth, her eyes blazing with hatred. Clearly, this battle wouldn't end so simply. The scene shifted to a deserted alley, where a black car sped up and stopped in front of an old warehouse. The car executed a perfectly smooth, tire-burning drift, parking neatly into the empty spot, proving the driver's skill was extraordinary. Inside the car, Wang Lei teased, John, your driving skills are top-notch. Cleric John calmly replied, A cleric who can't drive isn't a good hunter. Boss Nie was speechless at these two clowns. Boss Nie looked out at the city, engulfed in flames, sternly warning, We must report this high-level boss to headquarters, or the entire city will be wiped out. Boss Nie spoke up, her gaze directed at the unconscious, blood-soaked Li Fan, while Elisa could only look at her brother with worry. Li Fan was unconscious, blood still continuously flowing from his mouth, his condition so critical that the system had to constantly call his name. In the dark space of his consciousness, Li Fan notifications continuously appeared, as a final effort to pull his soul back. Slap! Tong appeared and directly slapped Li Fan's soul with a mighty blow to wake the stubborn man up. Li Fan sat up grumpily, thinking he was only severely injured, but Tong immediately retorted, Who told you to play dead and refuse to wake up? The protagonist looked bewildered, completely unaware of what was happening to his body. Li Fan tried to recall, wondering in confusion if he had been impaled by the terror or if it was all just an illusion. Tong looked at Li Fan with a pitiful gaze and flatly declared, No, you're really dying. Tong bluntly explained that it wasn't the terror, but Commander Elijah who had shot Li Fan through the heart. Now even his heart was gone. He should have been dead for sure. Li Fan slumped down, bitterly accepting the truth. I can't believe after destroying 9,999 terrors, I still kicked the bucket on the way home. Tong made a cryptic remark, saying the system never definitively stated Li Fan would die. Li Fan grabbed Tong, shaking him frantically by the collar, desperately asking, There must be some power keeping me alive, right? Tong brushed him off, disdainfully saying that the terrors Li Fan had destroyed were all level 1 trash. That pathetic power wasn't enough to save him. But Tong suddenly revealed a secret. Killing terrors and absorbing their power is just one function. The most important ability of this system is energy conversion. Tong explained that energy is the foundation of all power and matter, and the system can convert matter into that pure energy. True to his word, Tong pulled out a condensed, monster-shaped energy mass glowing with the number 9,999, declaring that he had converted all the power Li Fan had absorbed into it. Without warning, Tong thrust the energy mass directly into Li Fan's chest, where his heart used to be. The energy mass immediately took root, its tentacles embedding deep into Li Fan's body, becoming one with him. Li Fan was astonished to feel the overwhelming energy flowing through his veins as his arm and chest began to transform, donning a grotesque bio-armor. Li Fan immediately realized the problem. But since it's energy, there must be a time limit, right? And Tong confirmed that was exactly what it was about to warn him about. Tong bluntly warned Li Fan, Borrowed goods have an expiration date. When the energy runs out, you're toast. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, an otherworldly gate opened, summoning an entire army of monster minions. The purple commander crossed his arms, acting superior, and declared, "You're not needed here." But a voice roared. Czar, a pale, muscular giant with 2 skulls on his shoulders appeared, introducing himself as Czar, a level 5 terror. Czar stepped forward, extremely arrogant. "Do I need to report my whereabouts to you?" The purple commander snapped back, trying to regain face. "Don't. Think. Reaching level 5 puts you on par with me. I'm the commander here." Czar waved his hand, showing disdain for the mere soldiers. "Relax, I have no interest in commanding an army." The purple commander immediately questioned. "Then what are you doing here?" Czar's face hardened, and he growled. "Kaku might be a weakling, but he's still one of mine." With that, Czar grabbed the purple commander's face and lifted him up, declaring he wouldn't let go of whoever killed his subordinate. Even as the purple commander warned him he was ruining the master's plans, Czar simply replied with a concise "don't worry" and a sinister smile. In a mental scene, Li Fan lay on an operating table, monologuing "I'm ready," surrounded by Yike, Wang Lei, Boss Ni, and Goro, while the Spider Master hovered above. The Spider Master growled, its 6 glowing red eyes reflecting a savage hunger. Back in reality, Wang Lei frantically questioned Boss Ni. "Is Master still alive? Where are the reinforcements from headquarters?" But only received the icy reply, "I don't know." Cleric John stepped forward, extinguishing their last hope. "All signals in the city have been jammed by the terror. There's no way to contact headquarters." Wang Lei completely collapsed, burying his face in his hands in despair, realizing that not only was Master beyond saving, but all of them were just waiting to die. Yike painfully watched her brother Li Fan lying motionless on the hospital bed, whispering his name. Li Fan's face in his coma looked strangely serene, as if he were lost in a deep dream. In the mental space, Li Fan had woken up, his hand clutching the biomass patching the hole in his chest, and asked directly, "After the energy runs out, I'll die, won't I?" Tong appeared, confirming bluntly without hesitation, "That's right." The virtual assistant delivered the death sentence, announcing that with the current energy, Li Fan could only last about 5 more days. In the mental space, Li Fan was fully conscious, Tong hovering beside him, and asked directly, "What are you going to do?" Li Fan's face was cold as he firmly declared, "We can't waste any more time. I have to wake up and kill more terrors." Tong quickly stopped him, announcing new developments. "What's the rush? I haven't even told you about the upgraded system's new abilities yet." Li Fan was surprised. "New abilities?" Tong explained the mechanism of burning life for power. Energy is the foundation for converting into spiritual power. The more energy burned, the more formidable the power. Tong concluded with an insane number. If Li Fan wanted, he could increase his power efficiency 10,000-fold. Li Fan finally understood the issue. But the price was also clear. Li Fan frowned. "But if I use this power recklessly, I'll die even faster." Tong immediately confirmed, "That's right." Even knowing it was a path of no return, Li Fan still smiled with determination, affirming his sole objective: "We must kill more terrors." Back in reality, Yike, who was tightly holding her brother's hand, suddenly felt a change. Wang Lei, who was in despair, was startled when Yike announced, her voice full of hope, "Brother is moving." The group, Wang Lei, Yike, Boss Ni, and Cleric John, immediately gathered around the hospital bed, witnessing Li Fan showing signs of waking up after his near-death experience. Right at the hole in Li Fan's chest, a grotesque mass of flesh was pulsating, and a bloodshot eye in its center slowly opened, signaling a bizarre rebirth. Li Fan opened his eyes and woke up on the hospital bed, his left arm and chest transformed into a monstrous biological form, while Yike still held his hand tightly. Cleric John couldn't believe his eyes, wondering how someone shot through the heart could regrow it, while Boss Ni concluded that this kid was clearly a big deal with many secrets. Yike burst into tears of joy, burying her head against her brother and shouting, "You're awake, that's great." Li Fan sat up, one arm around the sobbing Yike, gently reassuring his younger sister. Wang Lei was overjoyed, about to rush to his master, but Li Fan stopped him with a growl. "Don't come near here." A frantic subordinate ran into the room, loudly calling Boss Ni with urgent news while the group was still bewildered by Li Fan's reaction. The guard's face was drained of color. He only managed to utter a meaningless warning before realizing he had no escape. Slash. Several sharp black shadows pierced through the guard's chest, blood gushing out, ending the unfortunate messenger's life in an instant. The door swung open, revealing an army of alien monsters brandishing weapons, their leader having just withdrawn a blood-soaked hand, signaling that the fun had only just begun. A swarm of grotesque alien monsters poured out from the shadows, each one hideous, ready to tear everything apart. Boss Ni, her face taut, admitted, "I've never had to face such terrifying pressure. Cleric, John, adjusted his tech goggles, his voice full of danger. It's not just that. The energy scan displayed a bunch of small fry, but amidst them was a blazing red alarm signal. A formidable threat was lurking. Boss, Nee questioned his detector, and Cleric, John curtly replied that it was supplied by headquarters, as they had foreseen the appearance of a powerful boss. A furry one-eyed monster roared, "Die!" then charged straight at Cleric, John. Crash! The monster's attack only hit the floor, creating a deep crater while Boss, Nee's smoke still lingered. Cleric! John clasped his hands, his entire body radiating a brilliant golden light, and began to chant, "God's blessing. Holy light ray." He unleashed his skill, a destructive rain of light pouring down on the monsters. The alien, minions, couldn't react in time, impaled by golden light pillars like toothpicks. Amidst the chaos, Cleric John unleashed a dazzling aura of holy light, blocking the alien minions' attack. A muscular, blue demon, with bloodshot eyes and jagged teeth roared, preparing to tear its enemy apart. Cleric! John broke into a sweat, realizing the situation was out of control, and growled, "It's too late." Suddenly, a brilliant golden lightning bolt struck from nowhere, incinerating the blue demon on the spot. The terrifying lightning surge continued its rampage, blowing away a section of the wall and the surrounding weaklings. Wang Lei burst through the wall, electricity crackling from his hands, declaring he couldn't miss a heroic moment, making Cleric John secretly praise. "Good kid." Without further ado, Wang Lei channeled his energy, his eyes flashing, as he gathered a destructive lightning orb in his palm. The lightning blast shot out like an energy cannon, tearing a straight path through the ranks of monsters. Seeing Wang Lei in a frenzy, Cleric John suddenly shouted a warning. "Watch out!" From above, a masked, tongue, demon, descended like a phantom, swinging her greatsword straight at the unsuspecting Wang Lei. The masked, tongue, demon let out a gruesome laugh, her long tongue licking across the greatsword, ready to cleave everything apart. Just as the blade was about to strike, Cleric John flew over in time, pushing Wang Lei out of the attack's path at the last second. Wang Lei quickly thanked him, but Cleric John, his face tense, warned, "These terrors are completely different from the small fry before. Be careful." Meanwhile, Li Fan was holding Elisa, silently observing a scene in his mind, a chaotic battle between hunters and high-level monsters. "Li," Fan wondered, "do you have a way to distinguish the levels of these terrors?" And Tong replied smugly, "Of course, your question is underestimating the system." Without further ado, Tong extended his hand. Bop! Tong tapped Li Fan's head, his mechanical voice echoing, "System upgrade." Li Fan's eye suddenly glowed crimson, a new power being activated. His vision was now different, the monster's power stats clearly displayed. The muscular terror is level 18, and the masked, tongue demon is level 53. Li Fan asked about the stats next to the level, and Tong explained clearly. "That's the energy value you receive when you finish them off, of course." Tong began to lecture about the terror classification system, where levels are determined by the amount of energy they can utilize. Li Fan stared at his mutated hand, which displayed 9,999 energy points, wondering why such a huge number appeared when level 1 monsters only gave 1 to 9 points. He questioned Tong, asking directly if all the terrors he had eliminated before were just 1 point trash, and the virtual assistant only gave a suspicious dry laugh. Without bothering to argue further, Li Fan decisively stepped forward, his attitude clear. He brushed aside the matter of points, his left hand mutating into a sharp biological weapon. Li Fan walked past Elisa, flatly stating that he was too lazy to argue at the moment. Elisa anxiously reached out, intending to remind him about his fatal wound. But Li Fan brushed her off, his eyes blazing as he declared, "Compared to wounds, I need energy more." His gaze locked onto a target, his voice full of killing intent. "Starting with you." His target was the small monster being drawn out from Elisa, and the system immediately reported, "Terror level 1, 2 energy points." Without another word, a blazing red energy slash cut across, instantly obliterating the tiny monster. Energy erupted violently. Elisa screamed as flames burst forth right in front of her. The dark energy stream from the torn monster swirled and was completely absorbed by the hunter. Li Fan stood firm, his body covered in blood but already feeling his strength recover, while Tong confirmed, "The higher the terror's level you kill, the more energy you receive." The absorbed energy was immediately converted. Li Fan's mutated hand condensing into a blazing, scorching fire sword. Facing a newly appeared group of terrors, Li Fan smirked defiantly, declaring, "Let's go collect more energy." He growled, pouring all his energy into the sword, ready to test the new skill he had just acquired. Skill. Roaring, he unleashed the blazing slash, a colossal pillar of fire completely engulfing the charging monsters. In just an instant, the battlefield fell silent. Li Fan stood tall amidst the dissipating smoke, surrounded by the remnants of the monsters he had just wiped out. Witnessing the scene, Wang Lei excitedly yelled, "That's my master," while Boss Ni was utterly stunned, unable to believe her eyes. One move wiped out the whole group. Is this guy faking his injury? Wang Lei burst out laughing, teasing the blood-soaked Li Fan. "Master, what's wrong?" Tong appeared, exposing Li Fan. "This skill consumes too much energy, doesn't it? Trying to act cool when these small fry monsters don't even provide enough energy for you to use the skill." Elisa froze, her face pale with terror at the perilous situation. A giant blue-skinned monster suddenly appeared, and Tong warned that from now on, they needed to fight smarter. The monster charged at Li Fan and Elisa screamed, "Big brother!" Li Fan's eyes glowed crimson, his killing intent surging as he faced danger. Elisa suddenly rushed forward, embracing Li Fan to his astonishment. She used her body to shield Li Fan as a terrifying explosion erupted from behind. Elisa's body smoked, gradually dissipating in Li Fan's arms. He could only watch in stunned silence as his sister sacrificed herself. Only a faint wisp of smoke remained. Li Fan cried out his sister's name in despair. "Elisa!" Blood rushed to his head. Li Fan growled, his crimson eyes sparking with hatred. "You bastard!" The enemy revealed itself. A blue wolf beast, level 3, 180, with an overwhelming aura. Li Fan handed the unconscious Elisa to Wang Lei, his voice sharp. "Help me protect her." Wang Lei didn't hesitate for a second. "Understood, master." Transforming into chaos, Li Fan turned his hand into a blazing fire sword, his entire body exuding terrifying killing intent as he slowly advanced. Without another word, Li Fan charged straight at the monster, letting out a single roar. "Die!" The monster sneered, easily blocking Li Fan's attack with one hand, as sharp spikes suddenly erupted from the ground. It dodged all attacks as if it were a game, its voice full of sarcasm. "A mere human like you thinks he can hit me?" The monster sat casually in the air, sticking out its tongue in provocation as if taking a stroll. "Come on, catch me if you can." Before he could finish off the boss, a swarm of minions rushed out from the shadows, surrounding Li Fan. Blocked by these small fries, Li Fan roared in anger, his eyes unwavering. "Get out of my way!" Amidst the encirclement of the minions, Li Fan plunged down like an arrow, a black staff in his hand, ready to carve a bloody path. Without a moment's hesitation, Li Fan delivered a devastating kick straight to a monster's face, deforming its head. With his mutated arm and blazing flame sword, Li Fan swept across the battlefield, tearing the monsters to shreds. From afar, Boss Ni yelled in fury, "This crazy kid, how dare you charge in here alone?" Cleric John squinted, assessing the tense situation. His anger has blinded him. His face hardened, deciding he couldn't stand by any longer. "All we can do now is support him," Cleric John finished, a golden holy light erupting, ready to intervene in the battle. Amidst the slaughter, Li Fan laughed wildly, his flame sword swinging up, preparing for a new attack. Tong appeared, questioning Li Fan about his true motives, but he only growled in response. "She always tried to protect me. Now it's my turn to repay her," Tong warned coldly, as Li Fan continued to advance silently. "This is clearly a trap. Do you still foolishly want to rush into it?" Li Fan brushed off Tong's warning, declaring bluntly, "So what if it's a trap? I can still use energy." Leaving his assistant speechless. "You always have an excuse." A massive, muscular, gray-blue-skinned blue wolf beast lumbered into view, blocking Li Fan's path. Li Fan's eyes blazed, and he growled when he saw his opponent standing still. "Because you stopped." "Then die!" Li Fan roared, raising his flame sword high, preparing to unleash a devastating blow. But unexpectedly, a swarm of other blue-skinned minions rushed out from both sides, surrounding Li Fan. Li Fan's face hardened, his surprise quickly turning into surging killing intent. Li Fan charged into the slaughter, punching and kicking, his flame sword slashing left and right, turning the minions to dust in an instant and roaring. "Too weak." Tong reported the tense situation. "This one is a level 3 terror, at least 100 times stronger than a level 1. Li Fan gripped his flame sword tightly, his eyes unwavering, sensing the terrifying power emanating from his opponent. The blue wolf beast cracked its neck, showing extreme boredom. "How dull. It seems I'll have to take action myself." The blue wolf beast puffed out its cheeks, taking a deep breath. preparing to unleash a powerful energy blast. Giving it no chance, Li Fan shot forward like lightning, his flame sword aimed directly at the monster's mouth. But the blue wolf beast merely sneered contemptuously, its expression as if watching a clown perform. Suddenly, it appeared right in front of Li Fan and flicked his nose lightly, full of humiliation. Boom! A seemingly harmless flick of the finger exploded like a bomb right in front of Li Fan. Li Fan was sent flying, tumbling through the air like a broken puppet. He crashed to the ground, his body torn and battered, Tong only able to scream his name in despair. The blue wolf beast leisurely approached, each step crushing Li Fan's hope. It grabbed Li Fan's head, who lay motionless on the ground, completely unable to resist. The monster looked down at the human warrior with contempt, delivering its judgment. You humans truly are a weak and pathetic bunch. Thinking the game was over, Li Fan suddenly sprang up, his mutated hand clamping tightly onto the blue wolf beast's arm with a crack. Despite being battered, Li Fan still sneered, his eyes burning red with resolve. I can't afford to conserve energy anymore. Unexpectedly turning the tables, Li Fan used all his might to slam the blue wolf beast to the ground like a toy. The monster flew off like a ball, while Li Fan stood firm, demonstrating a crazy power that had just been unleashed. Li Fan roared, deciding to go all in by using 1,000 times his energy to destroy the boss, despite Tong's frantic warning. If you're not afraid of sudden death, then go ahead and use it. The energy core in Li Fan's chest blazed fiercely, ancient characters appearing, signaling that a destructive skill was about to be activated. Li Fan's entire body was engulfed in flames. He stood up straight, his aura soaring, beginning to channel power for his ultimate move. Skill. The blue wolf beast roared contemptuously, believing its opponent was just putting on a show. What a clumsy act. I'll make you disappear right now. It immediately counterattacked, causing countless fiery spikes to erupt from the ground, ready to impale Li Fan. Amidst the enemy's sea of fire, Li Fan remained terrifyingly calm, his entire body enveloped in his own flames. Then, let's see you try. Despite the danger, Li Fan channeled all his remaining energy into his biological arm, his eyes burning with determination to finish this once and for all. He roared, swinging his colossal energy sword down, unleashing the suicidal technique, 1000x blazing slash. A single sword strike tore through space, cleanly cleaving the blue wolf beast in two. The terrifying slash continued to tear through the ground behind, leaving a prolonged trail of destruction, taking the small fry minions with it. The arrogant level 3 boss was now just two smoking halves of a corpse, defeated in a single blow. The system immediately activated. The monster's energy core with a value of 8,075 began to be absorbed. Tong flew out, grumbling that Li Fan had wasted too much energy to avenge his sister, but he coldly brushed it off. I just found it annoying. Suddenly, a powerful voice echoed from the shadows. The giant Czar appeared, muttering, I didn't expect a human capable enough to kill Kaku. Li Fan and Tong immediately felt a terrifying pressure, black smoke rising from Li Fan's body as he took a defensive stance. Tong hastily warned, be careful. Tong was utterly panicked as the system displayed the enemy's information. This guy is a level 5 terror. His energy value is a staggering 21598. Czar stood towering, his voice full of condescension, declaring that Kaku was merely the weakest grunt under his command, sent to this trash planet to guard the gate. The giant sneered, his eyes icy, but he was still one of mine. So, Czar's terrifying aura exploded, crushing Li Fan both physically and mentally. He growled a single question. Are you ready to die? Li Fan gritted his teeth, enduring the terrifying pressure, his bloodshot eyes widening as he recognized this suffocating sensation of being suppressed. Memories flooded back, the image of Li Fan helpless before Commander Elijah appeared, the feeling of being trampled like an ant resurfacing, but this time was different. Li Fan placed his hand on the blazing energy mass on his chest, his eyes shifting from fear to resolve. He roared a vow from the depths of his heart. I won't fail this time. The energy core on his chest blazed fiercely. Li Fan charged forward, unleashing his ultimate technique, 100x fire slash, his arm transforming into a swirling dark current shaped like a skull enveloped by destructive flames. Whoosh! Li Fan's flame and darkness-clad punch slammed straight into Czar's face with earth-shattering power. But no, Czar blocked the full-power attack with just one hand. He looked disappointed. How can this be? Is that all you've got? Li Fan was stunned. His attack not only blocked but immediately countered. Without a word, Czar swung a devastating punch, brutally breaking Li Fan's arm. Li Fan let out a tragic scream, fresh blood spurting from his mouth as he endured bone-piercing pain. Tong appeared, yelling at him. Are you still trying to conserve energy against a level 5 terror? but Li Fan gritted his teeth, a glint in his eyes. I understand. Giving his opponent no second to breathe, Zar raised his fist again, his bloodshot eyes filled with killing intent. Tong shrieked in alarm. Watch out, as the giant's punch hurtled straight towards Li Fan's head. In that moment of life and death, Li Fan roared, his hand erupting in blazing flames as he activated a skill. Crash! A crimson energy shield with ancient characters appeared from thin air, instantly blocking Zar's destructive punch. Zar's punch was stopped, but its terrifying pressure still caused the surrounding space to violently tremble. Clang! Despite the shield, Li Fan's arm was crushed by the opponent's absolute power, horribly deformed. Even with his arm shattered, Li Fan was blown away like a leaf by Zar's terrifying impact force, the energy shield shattering into pieces. In midair, Li Fan unleashed white energy ribbons to maneuver, demonstrating his supreme combat instincts rather than becoming a free-flying punching bag. Upon landing, Li Fan had to admit the harsh truth, burning 500 energy and still unable to block a single blow. This is the power of a level 5 terror. Despite his injuries, Li Fan calmly analyzed that his opponent had no special skills and confidently believed he could handle it, making Tong on his shoulder grumble. The disadvantage is obvious, yet you're still boasting. From a distance, Zar sneered contemptuously. Hey, truly an idiot. Zar roared. Overwhelming power is the greatest attack, then charged like a monster, swinging his rock-sized fist straight at Li Fan. Zar's punch closed in on Li Fan's face in an instant, leaving no room to dodge, seemingly a guaranteed headshot. Unexpectedly, the giant's punch grazed a white afterimage. Li Fan had vanished right before his fist. Li Fan's eyes widened, surprised by his own move, and he noticed snowflakes falling around. I missed? Snowflakes? From thin air, Li Fan summoned a colossal ice pillar that rose from the ground, standing atop it with the posture of a superior, activating the perfect freeze skill. A gigantic ice flower bloomed, freezing all the monster minions in an instant, leaving Tong and Wang Lei gaping in astonishment. From afar, Wang Lei exclaimed excitedly, "This is Olena's move. Did she defeat that monster?" S-rank hunters are truly top tier, but reality was too cruel. Zar still floated leisurely in the air, Li Fan's ice pillar serving only as a mere stand for him. The giant glanced at Ice Queen Olena, standing atop another ice pillar, sneering, "You think you can hit me with this pathetic sneak attack?" Ice Queen Olena didn't bother to reply, her eyes cold as ice, as she waved her hand, commanding countless sharp ice shards to attack. Zar simply dodged to the side, letting the ice embed itself in thin air, and growled, "Useless. That's the difference in class between me and you low-level creatures." His bloodshot eyes gleamed with cruelty, and he muttered, and, suddenly, Zar delivered a devastating kick directly to Li Fan's chest, the one he had ignored until now, leaving him no time to react. Li Fan was sent flying like a ball, smashing through a series of ice walls behind him, while Zar maintained his powerful attacking stance. Tong frantically warned, "A battle between a level 5 terror and an S-rank hunter is too much for you," but Li Fan merely smirked in reply. Hey, well said. Despite being thoroughly beaten, Li Fan still smirked defiantly, his crimson eyes seemingly declaring, "I've seen through your abilities." Suddenly, Elisa rushed in from behind, her worried voice calling, "Brother!" momentarily stunning Li Fan. Wang Lei wondered how Li Fan had dealt with the terrors so quickly, but he casually replied, "No, Ice Queen Olena cleaned up the rest." Elisa looked at the numerous wounds on her brother with distress, but Li Fan just gave a wry smile, pretending it was nothing. Li Fan turned to pinch Elisa's cheek, growling back, "You're the one with serious injuries, how are you doing?" He checked Elisa's back and was astonished to find it completely healed, without a single scratch. Tong hovered nearby, teasing that Li Fan was becoming more like a big brother, while Li Fan firmly asserted that Elisa was not an enemy. Cleric John frowned, remarking that the terror who had just fought Olena was an extremely formidable opponent. A colossal shadow of the purple commander enveloped the entire group, his overwhelming aura deemed on par with the monster Elijah. Boss Ni, Wang Lei, and Cleric John could only look up at a strange magic circle forming in the sky, signaling an even fiercer battle about to begin. Ice Queen Olena unleashed a sharp blizzard, but Zar merely floated in the air, looking utterly bored. Zar easily dodged all the attacks, taunting, "You think this boring attack will work?" which infuriated Ice Queen Olena. Too bored to bother, Zar turned away, locking onto Li Fan's group on the ground. "Whatever, I'll deal with that guy first." Whoosh! Zar plunged straight to the ground like a meteor, cracking the earth, and Cleric John shouted a warning, "Watch out, he's coming." Li Fan pulled Elisa back, calmly analyzing. "He has a power similar to teleportation. If we attack simultaneously, we'll find his weakness." Czar sneered, having overheard, and appeared right behind Boss Ni and Wang Lei, his voice full of sarcasm. Teleportation? Are you looking down on me? Boss Ni reacted extremely quickly, exhaling a dense cloud of smoke to create a smokescreen, blinding the opponent and creating an opportunity for a counterattack. Seizing the moment, Boss Ni, Wang Lei, and Cleric John simultaneously unleashed their moves. Smoke, lightning, and holy light all aimed straight at Czar. Boom! The coordinated attack hit its mark, but Czar merely stood there, enduring it, and growled contemptuously. Useless. How can a bunch of weak insects hit me? Wang Lei and Cleric John were knocked back helplessly. Seeing the group's incompetence, Li Fan stepped forward, his eyes sharp. Didn't hit him? I have something for him. Li Fan spoke arrogantly, directly provoking the giant. Hey, you big idiot. Without another word, Li Fan shot into the air, his hand transforming into a blazing sword, roaring, let's see if you can dodge this sword strike. Czar didn't bother to dodge, using his bare hand to block Li Fan's burning blade right at his stomach. His power was absolute. The giant looked down at Li Fan with contempt, his voice mocking. Childish provocation, but you succeeded. With that, Czar grabbed Li Fan's head and slammed him to the ground with a devastating blow that shattered the earth. Though battered, Li Fan immediately sprang up, roaring, "Cutter, let's go," as his mutated left arm began to gather energy. Inside Li Fan's monstrous arm, a glowing red energy core was forming, signaling an impending destructive attack. Li Fan fired, a colossal energy cannon blast shooting straight toward Czar, making the giant show panic for the first time, yelling, "Stop!" Seeing his master go all out, Wang Lei couldn't just stand by. He turned to Cleric John. "Master can't face him alone. We have to provide support." A hand reached out to stop them, Boss Ni's voice ringing out with authority, ordering both, "Don't follow." Elisa and Tong, in his tiny form, blocked the way, conveying Li Fan's words. "Brother said you'd only cause trouble, so stay here." Wang Lei angrily yelled at Ice Queen Olena, pointing towards the battle. "If we're too weak, why don't you send an S-rank Ice Queen to help?" Ice Queen Olena froze, asking blankly in disbelief. Ice Queen, Boss Ni, Wang Lei, and Cleric John were all stunned as they realized Olena's true identity. Meanwhile, Czar was furiously chasing Li Fan, roaring, "You think you're faster than me, you bastard? I'll catch you." Czar's face contorted in rage, and he let out a savage roar as he put all his strength into a punch. Boom. Czar's earth-shattering punch only hit Li Fan's afterimage. He had narrowly dodged it. Li Fan immediately counterattacked, firing a destructive energy blast from his mutated arm, blowing Czar away. Seizing the opportunity, Li Fan darted past the staggering giant and delivered a follow-up slash. Li Fan landed inside a building, successfully luring the monster into the confined terrain. Czar burst into the building, arrogantly declaring, "Now let's see where you'll run." Li Fan faced him, retorting provocatively, "I think you're the one who can't run, aren't you?" Czar froze, then roared, erupting with terrifying green energy. Li Fan calmly analyzed, his right hand glowing green. "If I'm not mistaken, your ability is similar to absolute evasion, isn't it?" Czar sneered, flexing his muscles. "You can evade fatal blows, plus that monstrous physical strength. It's truly a game hack." "Heh, actually, it's more than a hack." Li Fan smirked meaningfully, holding a gigantic, glowing red energy orb. "Perhaps, but that doesn't matter." Czar panicked at the sight of the exploding energy, while Li Fan calmly activated his trump card. "In such a confined space, you won't be able to dodge, will you?" Li Fan's entire body transformed into a radiant golden energy entity, exuding terrifying pressure that froze Czar in place. The giant Czar broke out in a cold sweat for the first time, veins bulging on his face as he questioned himself. "Why do I feel fear towards such a lowly creature?" A premonition told him something was wrong, and Czar decided fleeing was the best option. "Anyway, I need to get out of here first." Li Fan, in his energy form, flashed a deadly smile, raising his hand to create a small, sun-like energy orb, blocking Czar's retreat. Too late. Li Fan poured all his strength into unleashing his ultimate move, the Fisher Energy Burst, with 3,000 times the destructive power. Czar's face contorted, experiencing extreme panic for the first time in his life as he faced imminent death. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion engulfed everything, blowing away the entire area in a sea of fire. In the distance, Wang Lei screamed in horror as he felt the destructive aftershock. "Master?" Wang Lei grabbed Elisa, growling. "You didn't tell us Master was going to self-destruct. Aren't you worried about him?" Elisa calmly brushed his hand away, her gaze unwavering. "My brother said he'll be fine. I trust him." Boss Ni cut off the argument, acting like a leader. "Stop bickering. What we need to do now is find Li Fan." Crash! Another aftershock erupted from the center of the explosion, sending debris flying, showing that the destructive power hadn't ceased. Amidst the rubble, Li Fan slowly got up, covered in injuries but still alive, causing the whole group to shout his name. Boss Ni couldn't believe her eyes. Such a massive explosion. And you're still alive? Li Fan just gave a faint smile, boasting lightly. Hee, it's just because I'm a good person. Li Fan smirked, casually explaining that he was lucky to have buffed muscle enhancement 1,000 times before the explosion. Otherwise, he would have been gone too. Wang Lei rushed over to support his master, only for Li Fan to tease him. Be gentle. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook violently, sending debris exploding into the sky. From amidst the rubble, a gigantic, pale hand emerged, accompanied by a savage laugh. Czar, who they thought had burned to death, reappeared with a blood-soaked face, his eyes burning with madness. I truly underestimated you. The colossal monster stood towering amidst the battlefield, staring at the two survivors with overwhelming killing intent. Both Li Fan and Wang Lei were utterly shocked, unable to believe that such a terrifying explosion still hadn't killed him. Just as Czar prepared to strike, a massive white smoke stream suddenly shot forward, blocking his path. Wang Lei shouted a warning. He's coming! As the monster furiously charged straight at them like a runaway truck. Boss Ni took her stance, controlling the smoke with her pipe, her eyes sharp and ready for battle. Without further ado, Boss Ni struck first, summoning a barrage of sharp white smoke blades, aiming directly at the giant Czar. Swish, swish. The rain of smoke blades pierced Czar's body, making him look like a white hedgehog. Czar roared, admitting that the previous self-destructing explosion had affected his bodily functions. But the monster grinned savagely, revealing his sharp fangs. He tensed, his entire body turning fiery red, muscles bulging as he roared. Do you really think that's all I've got? Czar's terrifying pressure erupted, crushing Li Fan's group to the ground. Wang Lei, realizing in horror that he couldn't move, Tong, perched on Li Fan's shoulder, clearly felt the enemy's pressure intensifying by the second, confirming it wasn't an illusion. The system confirmed Tong's words. The stats panel showing Czar's energy had skyrocketed to 38666, Czar explained, stating that this energy-poor planet didn't allow them to adapt, so they had to use a protective membrane, which also suppressed their power. However, he also admitted that if this state prolonged, he would die from inability to adapt, so this battle couldn't be drawn out. After his explanation, Czar let out a roar and charged straight at Li Fan, declaring he would deal with him first. Wang Lei couldn't just watch. He jumped in front of his master, gathering a lightning orb and shouting, "Don't you dare touch my master!" But the power gap was too wide. Czar merely swung his hand, swatting Wang Lei away like a fly, cursing directly. "Get lost, you trash." Having overcome the obstacle, Czar unleashed a devastating punch aimed directly at Li Fan, determined to end the fight. Facing the destructive attack, Li Fan remained unfazed. Tong, on his shoulder, announced, "Looks like we have to go all out, Cutter." And he simply replied coldly, "Yeah." An earth-shattering explosion erupted, sending both Wang Lei and Boss Nie flying, both only managing to scream Li Fan's name in despair. Inside the epicenter, Czar gnashed his teeth, growling, "Damn it, I won't fall to a low ranker like you." With that, Czar's heavily injured body was blasted out of the explosion by an immense force. Wang Li's jaw dropped in astonishment as he watched Czar's colossal body get blown high into the sky like a ball. Seeing Wang Lei about to give chase, Boss Nie immediately stopped him, ordering, "Don't pursue him, check on Li Fan first." And he instantly obeyed. Amidst the rubble, Wang Lei ran, sobbing uncontrollably, wailing, "Master, I've only just learned a little. Why did you self-destruct already?" Smack! Li Fan suddenly appeared from the smoke, one hand firmly grabbing Wang Lei's wailing mouth. Li Fan growled, "Stop crying, I'm not dead," leaving Wang Lei to stammer master in shock. Annoyed by his crybaby disciple, Li Fan unceremoniously tossed Wang Lei away like a toy. Still dazed, Wang Lei asked why his master wasn't injured after the explosion. Li Fan simply replied curtly, "Of course not. I don't want to die yet." Boss Nie also appeared, wondering about the terrifying power of the explosion if it wasn't a self-destruct. Li Fan calmly admitted, it was just a bluff. He explained that he merely used an extremely powerful, 1000x dazzling move to feign self-destruction, scaring that guy away. Wang Lei gave a thumbs up, his eyes shining with admiration, thinking to himself that his master was truly the real deal, even calculating the monster's psychology. Boss Nie asked if Li Fan wasn't afraid of the monster coming back for a full-on fight. He just smirked. "Didn't I already win the bet?" Li Fan confidently asserted that after removing its limiter, that guy's body would increasingly deteriorate and soon reach its limit. Li Fan ignored his battered body, growling that he had to catch up to the enemy, while Wang Lei anxiously offered to help his master. Suddenly, an arm reached out to block his path. Boss Ni appeared with a cold warning. If you pursue him in this state, you'll surely die. Li Fan merely smirked, revealing the number 1974, counting down on his mutated arm, calmly retorting, "If I don't go, I probably won't even live another day." Immediately after, he suddenly grabbed Elisa, who was standing nearby, pulling his younger sister into his embrace. Wang Lei froze as Li Fan hugged Elisa tightly, whispering decisively into her ear. He assured Elisa that he would always be by her side, despite his stunned sister. Boss Ni was speechless, silently watching Li Fan's display of sibling affection. Finally, Boss Ni conceded, "Forget it. If you want to go, then go. John and I will stay here and contact headquarters." Li Fan agreed immediately. Just as Li Fan turned to leave, Boss Ni called him back, reminding him, "And don't forget your promise to me," which made him pause. Boss Ni made a final offer. "Come back alive and work as a bouncer for my club for a month." Li Fan smirked, sealing the deal and vowing not to break his word. Without wasting a second, Li Fan hoisted Elisa onto his shoulder and sped up with Wang Lei. Elisa urged them not to let the target escape. All three burst out of the underground paradise, dust swirling as they began a fierce chase through the streets. Wang Lei quickly spotted the target, shouting directions to his master. "Master, over there!" Their target, Czar, his body glowing red from having removed his restraints, shot forward like a rocket, unleashing a sky-shattering blow. Wang Lei's jaw dropped in astonishment, seeing that Czar was not only alive but also escaping. Czar was equally stunned, turning back with a growl, unable to understand why its enemy was still alive after self-destructing. Before it could react, a sharp object pierced straight through Czar's chest, making it shriek tragically. Struck by a fatal blow, Czar realized it was at death's door, and had to find a way to absorb more pure energy if it wanted to survive. While running desperately, Wang Lei suddenly cried out that he was out of mana and couldn't fly anymore, which surprised Li Fan. Wang Lei chuckled gleefully, boasting loudly, "Hey, finally there's something Master can't do. Looks like I still have value," which made Li Fan ask again, "You can fly?" Caught off guard, Wang Lei admitted his flying skills were still rudimentary, but his body erupted with brilliant golden lightning. "But I can still manage to fly for a while." Wang Lei channeled his energy, shouting the name of his technique, Thunder God. Without another word, Wang Lei grabbed Li Fan and Elisa, preparing for takeoff. "Take off!" Wang Lei roared, pulling both of them soaring into the sky in a dazzling flash of lightning. From the ground, the giant Czar looked up, his face blank as he watched his prey escape as a brilliant golden streak. Cornered, Czar glanced towards a city floating in the sky, deciding to take a risk. "I can only take a chance. There must be a lot of pure energy there." Czar's target appeared majestically in midair, a modern and colossal floating city, promising an endless source of energy. At the association headquarters, a giant man in a suit, Director Sam, asked his female assistant, "Have all those troublesome people arrived yet?" She replied concisely, "Not yet." Sam's assistant reported clearly that only 10 people had come to the meeting. The rest had made various excuses for their absence. Director Sam growled, veins bulging on his face in anger. "High-level monsters are invading, and they still dare to drag their feet." He clicked his tongue, deciding not to wait any longer. "Never mind. 10 is enough." Sam and his assistant approached the meeting room door, preparing to begin the emergency summons. The door opened, revealing a bizarre group waiting, the S-rank hunters meeting, filled with arrogant and eccentric faces. The door slowly closed, sealing the room containing only the strongest individuals. An Afro hunter grumbled, resting his feet on the table. "I can't believe you made me wait this long." Captain Bonnie, S-rank hunter number 6, carried a cannon on her shoulder and boasted loudly, "Summoning us so urgently, if it's not serious, don't blame me for opening fire." A military man, government defender, Stephen Nonder 5, spoke up, warning Captain Bonnie, "Don't talk to Mr. Sam like that. We S-rank hunters have a duty to cooperate with the government." Yin-Yang Master Abe Shinmei, No 10 fanned himself, his tone sarcastic. "Don't argue with such barbarians. Not everyone knows what politeness is." Provoked, Captain Bonnie roared, "You bastard," pointing her cannon directly at Abe Shinmei's face. But the Yin-Yang Master remained unfazed, challenging back, "I'm not interested in a boring fight, but don't blame me if you attack first." An unseen force intervened, demanding both to calm down and forbidding them from fighting at this moment. It turned out the disruptor was Sonic Mort No 15, a tiny hunter in a tech suit, who jumped into the middle and shouted, "No fighting! High-level monsters are coming. We have to deal with them. Pathless swordsman, Jiao, No 13, carrying his greatsword, leaned against the wall and declared nonchalantly, "It's just a terror. One slash will be enough." Meanwhile, two top veterans, Sorcerer King Andolph No. 7 and Misty Taoist Zhang Tianyi No. 3, calmly sat drinking tea, ignoring the youngsters' boasting. Let the kids decide for themselves. Bald-head Sha Qiang No. 14 stepped in to mediate, chuckling as he suggested, "Come on, why don't we listen to Sam first?" The bald head suddenly rotated his head, revealing multiple faces, then asked, "What do you all think?" Among the S-rank hunters, two new faces appeared. Robo-Cat Idol, No. 9, meowed incomprehensibly, while Death Row Inmate 114514 No. 16, chained from head to toe, could only endure in silence. Director Sam stood before the long meeting table, clearing his throat to signal these S-rank monsters to be silent so the emergency meeting could begin. Sam glanced at his assistant, his voice sharp as he ordered, "Turn on the projector." Sam's assistant activated the projector, and a giant holographic screen appeared in the middle of the room as she began her report. For some reason, the high-level terror has appeared earlier than expected. The hologram showed a hideous demonic gate, and Sam's assistant continued, "And they've opened the gate right in Paradise Square. The gate is frantically draining energy from its surroundings, signaling an even more terrifying summoning is about to occur. And their leader, the portrait of Commander Elijah, appeared, a purple-skinned alien with a smug smile, and the information about his power shocked the entire room. His name is Elijah, and he's at least 10,000 times stronger than those other terrors." Captain Bonnie immediately boasted loudly, "So what if it's 10,000 times stronger? One shot from me and it's gone." But Yin-Yang Master Abe Shinmei merely fanned himself, disdainfully. "Ignorant and reckless fool," Director Sam growled, cutting off the argument. "This is no joke. Even Olena, who was sent as reinforcement, was no match for him." Director Sam began the meeting, announcing that the government's research institute had just rolled out a batch of new energy detectors to deal with the terrors. Sam's assistant opened her briefcase, revealing a series of devices that looked like power meters, capable of analyzing an opponent's level and uploading data to the system. Misty Taoist Zhang Tianyi, a true veteran, interrupted, stating that they weren't called here just to look at some tech toys. Director Sam admitted that these top-tier individuals didn't need them, but the new recruits did, then growled, getting straight to the main point. Director Sam's eyes sharpened as he declared the purpose of the meeting was to discuss how to thoroughly resolve the issue of the spatial gate. Yin-Yang Master Abe Shinmei fanned himself, sarcastically remarking that such strenuous tasks suited Captain Bonnie best, as neither her brain nor her body knew how to adapt, which made Bonnie furious. Suddenly, an invisible pressure enveloped the entire meeting room, making the atmosphere unusually heavy. Director Sam suddenly staggered, hands braced on the table, his face paling from the unknown pressure, causing Sam's assistant to frantically support him. While the others were still bewildered, Misty Taoist Zhang Tianyi calmly sipped his tea, watching the ripples on the surface, and casually remarked, "It seems we have an uninvited guest." Crash! A red alert blared everywhere. A terror had just infiltrated the floating city. Sirens wailed loudly, and the fully armored floating city soldiers immediately swarmed out like disturbed bees, ready for battle. Upon arrival, they spotted their target, a giant standing amidst the smoke, and one soldier exclaimed, "It's here! Open fire!" As soon as the order was given, the entire squad of soldiers simultaneously unleashed their guns on the intruder. A barrage of bullets slammed into the target, but it seemed to only tickle it. The giant roared, "Get the hell out of my way!" and with a single swing of his arm, swept away the puny soldiers like trash. Czar, the level 5 terror, revealed his true form, his body covered in injuries yet still exuding an overwhelming aura, holding a nuclear energy container in his hand. Czar clutched the energy flask tightly, determined to use it to recover. With a crazed smile, Czar declared, "With this energy, I can